Bring Shakespeare back. What happened? Gentlemen, start your engine!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the hills of Pocono, Pennsylvania, the one and only Tricky Triangle, brought to you live on this beautiful Saturday. I'm Owen Lax, alongside my partner in the booth, Tyler Jones, and we're ready to bring you every thrilling moment of this showdown under the vibrant Pennsylvania skies.
Owen, Pocono's unique 2.5-mile tri-oval with its 3 distinct turns, modeled after Trenton Speedway in Indianapolis and the Old Milwaukee Mile. It has been a cornerstone of America's motorsports since it opened its gates in 1968. This track made its NASCAR Cup Series debut in 1974, with the legend Richard Petty dominating a whopping 18 seconds to claim the first victory. Now let's fast forward to today, and Pocono remains the battleground where strategy, speed, and precision are about everything.
And let's not forget the history etched into these turns. From Darrell Waltrip's first Cup win here in 1981 to Denny Hamlin's record-setting 7 victories, the most by any driver at Pocono, this track has seen it all. Who can forget the drama of the 1992 race where Davey Allison's brutal crash in Turn 1 shook the racing world, only for him to return and compete weeks later? Today's sim racers will need to navigate those same challenging corners, turn 1 steep banking, the tight turn 2, and the sweeping turn 3, while keeping an eye on tire wear and fuel strategy to outsmart the competition.
See, but that's what makes Pocono so special, Owen. It's not just about the raw speed, it's about measuring those long straightaways, like the 3,740-foot front stretch, and finding that perfect line through those tricky turns. With a field packed with today's NARAS finest, we are in for a masterclass of racing. Will we see a new name rise to glory, or will a seasoned pro add another Pocono triumph to their resume?
The stage is set, the engines are roaring, and the green flag is moments away. Fans, get ready for a roller coaster of speed, strategy, and heart-stopping moments. Let's head down to the track for the start of the NARAS Pocono Showdown.
Hold on to your seats, race fans. This is going to be one for the history books. Let's go racing at Pocono.
And as we take a look at practice, we see right now Lucas Lewis in the 11 is the fastest here today. Tyler, is there anyone you've been looking at through practice so far?
Is the 4th race left in the regular season. I do want to say, you know, Lucas Lewis, he's been triumphant. He seems to be a very fast car tonight. He's put a lot of practice laps right now. We have seen that, but I do kind of want to look out for Carden Hansen.
Carden's an interesting one. We haven't seen him do too much performance-wise yet in that 3 car. Obviously, he's kind of been in and out in terms of actually coming to races. We've seen him get into his fair share of issues, but I definitely think that someone like Carden, if today goes kind of crazy like it very easily could go, especially in that tight turn too, I think you could see him maybe get through the chaos and have a shot at the race today.
Now, who's your pick for the race? That's what I'm very interested in knowing.
Well, my pick for the race actually is not here tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and have to pivot real quick to... I think we could see Lucas Lewis almost go back-to-back here. Obviously, we see that he's on top of practice right now. He's usually pretty quick here, so I'm hoping that he can take back-to-back victories this week.
That would be interesting to see. A lot of people did say it was a controversial win last week. There was a little bit of net coding that was involved in Lucas Lewis being able to strip Mark Morton of almost an entire sweep last week at Indy. I am wondering what is going to be on his mind after that win last week. How is he going to attack this one? And if he's going to be a dominant car through and through from flag to flag.
I think the biggest thing for him right now is that he just needs to keep the car clean. Obviously, he's gotten that win. He doesn't need to fight as hard. I mean, I think we can definitely see him still be aggressive and want another win, want those playoff points. But I don't think it'll be to the point that we've seen people get upset with him over the last few weeks because of it. I think it'll be, if not gone, a little bit toned down.
Right, that's just something we are going to have to watch and pay attention to as the night goes on here. Like we said, we are at Pocono Raceway. This is the place to be right now. One of our top tracks, I would say. It is about the same as it was last week. There is just a tri-oval. So these drivers, we're going to see a lot of the same kind of strategy get pulled out here tonight with tires and everything. The laps are about the same, 30 laps per each stage. Stage 3 will be at 60. So I'm kind of wondering where strategy is going to play out tonight, how that's going to really make a difference in this entire race with these 3 turns instead of just having 1, 2, and 3 and 4.
I mean, it'll definitely be interesting, but we're going to go ahead and take a look at how these guys are able to tackle qualifying as we wait for the first person to go on track. We're going to go ahead and ride along with them. And it looks like it is going to be the 09 of Isaiah Fox.
Now, this is really going to be where you're going to want to pay attention, because what we're going to be seeing here in qualifying is going to kind of show you where these drivers are going to be setting themselves up for the remainder of this race. You know that high line can work and it will work, but it's really going to be that mid to low line that probably will claim a victory tonight.
Yeah, and it's really going to be about just... I think it's less about the line you run for speed and more about... Oh, Isaiah Fox losing it out of 2 on his qualifying lap. Is able to save it. I think that's something that you can see quite a bit during the race today. It's really easy to lose that rear end here, especially in 2 where you can push so much, but you do risk losing those rear tires. We're going to go ahead and take a look at somebody else now because of that incident. Let's ride along with the practice winner of Lucas Lewis.
Lucas
Obviously,
right now, pretty comfortable.
Yeah, you see him kind of stabbing the throttle a little bit in 1, trying to stay on that bottom side. We'll see how that affects him time-wise, but I think it's more about just making sure you're taking that corner as low as you can and holding as much speed as you can rather than being smooth on the throttle in 1.
That exit right there isn't the worst. I feel like he's probably maxing out that exit as much as he can there. He did stay off the wall, kind of left himself a little bit of room there, but he seems to be pretty comfortable in that car tonight. He did have 33 laps before qualifying started in practice, so I feel like he is well equipped and ready to go. He's already practically ran a whole entire stage.
Yes, he's currently first right now, about a 10th and 3/4 ahead of Isaiah Fox. Looks like I mean, from what we saw on the throttle input, I think he may have been a little bit relaxed, just trying to get a bank lap in. So we'll see what he's able to do this time by in that 11 Safe Light machine. Now we're going to go ahead and pivot, take a look at the 9 of Jordan Parker. Still trying to get his second win of the season a few weeks after his, what some call lucky win at Nashville Superspeedway. So we'll see what he's able to do here at the Triangle.
Yeah, Jordan did make a really good comeback a couple of weeks ago, sweeping for his first win of the season. He has had some luck here and there, but not as much as I feel like he has expected. He is comfortable on points right now, but not as comfortable as he could be because Callahan still has the advantage.
Yeah, and speaking of David Callahan, we see him going out for his first lap right now in the 18 M&M's machine. Callahan really just not been there recently. Needs a little bit of good luck that he hasn't had in the last few weeks. You know, that dominance that we saw the first half of this regular season hasn't been there the last few weekends. So we'll see if Callahan's able to sort of bring that back at an abnormal track like Pocono.
Yeah, Callahan has been improving week in and week out. He hasn't been the dominant car sweeping races as he was in the earlier half of the season, but he still has had a pretty consistent finishing, all within 2 to 3 positions of where he's qualified. Last week, I believe he qualified 7th, and he finished about 4th, 5th. He finished around that area, so he is confident. He is comfortable in his car so far. Will we see him have another sweep before the end of the season to push his points lead just a little bit higher above Jordan?
And we do actually see Callahan go to the top of the board here in qualifying, so looks like Callahan may be having a little bit of a resurgence this week, so we'll see what he's able to do here during the race.
Yeah, and he actually beat out Josh Mason by literally less than a 1/10 of a second.
And it's interesting to bring up Josh Mason here. He needs 25 points today to lock himself into the playoffs, according to our guy with the calculator. So we'll see if Josh is able to get the 25 points he needs. I think it's almost a lock here with the size of the field tonight. So we'll see if he can punch his ticket to the playoffs.
Yeah, with the field being a smaller field than normal, that's really going to give him that advantage over some of the drivers that did not show up. Those 25 points are going to be very easily obtainable for him tonight. As long as he holds that car and gets a good finishing position above the remaining drivers that are here, he should be able to lock himself in.
Now, one thing I am noticing is that as qualifying's finished, we didn't see a lap time from the 8 of Mark Morton, which is a little bit surprising. So I wonder if maybe he's starting from the back tonight, maybe expecting a little bit of chaos on lap 1.
You know, that might be a smart strategy. Morton probably kind of wants to sit back and feel everything out right now. It is almost the same distance as it was last week in Indian, but it is that track where you kind of want to feel your tires out, be comfortable in your car, and kind of be comfortable with what everybody else is doing around you first. We did see Morton make a really good comeback when he wasn't in the lead. So we know he has the dominance to get himself back up into that position.
And I think the big thing for Morton is because of his 3 wins this season, he has the ability to kind of lay back and play with the tires the first 2 stages. He isn't to a point where he doesn't honestly even need the win, because he's already got at least 15 stage points or 15 playoff points on wins alone this season. So, he might just be looking into what he can do in that final 60 or so laps, just kind of managing his tires and seeing what's possible for him in this race.
Yeah, I feel like it could be tit for tat. He could not be going after the win, just trying to get himself in a good finishing position. But I feel like with that 4th season win knocking on that door, being taken out of his grasp last week, we might see that resurgence from Morton tonight. He is going to break your record after all, and that is a record not many people have been able to break or have even came close to breaking. With that on the cusp, with only 4 races left in our regular season, that really might make or break his mentality for this race tonight.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, the record is something that he definitely should be chasing right now. I think he has the ability to take it and run away with it over the next few seasons. So we'll see what Morton's able to do, knowing that is at his fingertips. Although it does look like his engine left his fingertips. Was trying to burn gas, it looks like, before qualifying and blew the engine. So looks like Morton maybe not choosing to start in the back and stuck there by accident.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you're trying to burn that little bit of fuel off, it runs that risk for that reward. Unfortunately, the reward wasn't good enough for him tonight. So we're gonna have to see if that team is gonna have enough time to get him another car out there if he has one, or get the repairs done as fast as possible, because warm-ups are almost over.
But I do believe that Morton is somebody that, can step in that backup car and be good enough to drive it to the lead tonight.
Absolutely. He is one of our season drivers, along with a lot of other drivers on this track that have already made their way into victory lane this season and have locked themselves into the playoffs. With 4 races remaining, Morton has that availability and opportunity, just like the rest of them, to kind of make that back.
Yeah, Morton's biggest issue right now is he won't get any of those playoff points from winning the regular season championship. That battle really is between Jordan and David. So I think Mark's focus right now is getting the playoff points to stay ahead of either one of those two, because they'll get those however many bonus points for winning the regular season.
Absolutely. It's gonna be a little tough tonight. There's gonna be chaos on this track. I expect it. I don't think it's gonna be too bad in the early stages. I feel like the longer this race goes on, the more chaotic it's gonna be. And that's kind of what you expect coming to a track like this. We have 2.5 mile tracks back to back. And then next week we are going to Montreal to do a road course. So I feel like a lot of the people tonight that were here for last week that have that same strategy enacted tonight are possibly going to return a couple of receipts from some of the altercations that have happened last week.
Yeah, and I think that's something that you have to look out for tonight, especially like we talked about Morton and Lewis last week. I think Morton is smart enough to not find himself in that sort of position leading into the playoffs. I think, someone like Lewis almost has to watch his back during the playoffs, whereas someone like Morton, who's been relatively clean, doesn't really have to worry about anyone racing him super aggressively based on how he raced them previously. So I think that's really going to pay off for Morton. Even losing Indianapolis and painting Lucas in that light may pay better for Morton, because, it's going to push more people against that 11 of Lewis. And, Morton had a lot of support after that. So we'll have to see what he's able to do, kind of playing the field a little bit.
We are still winding down here, roughly about few minutes left. I'd say about 7 minutes left almost until we are done. I think they are in their drivers meeting actively right now, probably going over last week's incident report and making sure some of those situations don't happen again. We had, that 9 of Jordan Parker had to get off because he was having difficulty in that car, was able to rejoin the race, but unfortunately went multiple laps down, which caused him, as you can see on your screen now with that playoff picture, kind of caused him to not get that advantage over on points. He is locked in on win, as well as Mark Morton, Rainey, which I don't believe is here tonight, Lucas Lewis, Callahan, Hess, who is not here as well, Dave Stinson, and Trenton Sidden. A couple of names we haven't seen in a few weeks. Wonder when they're going to return. Sitting in 9th position is Christian Mullins, which isn't here again tonight. He used one of his provisionals last week and still hasn't shown up this week. So at this point, he's kind of really pushing the limit because Mason is not too far behind him. He's only roughly 20, 29, 27 points behind him. So, the next 2-3 weeks, if Mullen doesn't appear, he could kind of watch his playoffs go down the drain a little bit.
And Mullen, I think, is actually somebody who was already locked in on points after Indianapolis. Maybe not officially, but Mason, like we said, by gaining about 25 points tonight, can lock himself in. One thing you do also have to realize is that the entire cut line is actually moved up a position. Trent Sidden announced today that he will be moving to part-time competition, which no longer makes him eligible for the playoffs with his win. So where it says that Christopher France is actually minus 28, he is actually the 16th driver in the cut line as of right now, with Thaddeus Friel being the first man out.
Speaking of Christopher France, we actually have had news break just slightly earlier that I don't believe France will be returning to the Cup Series for the rest of this season.
And that actually opens the door for someone like Thaddeus, or even somebody like Brendan Carroll. And even, like we said, somebody like Aaron Ramon, who does have to take a provisional tonight, is not here in that 15, almost won last week at Indianapolis. Was looking strong possibly for Pocono, but just isn't able to make it tonight. So Aaron's still not going to gain on that cut line tonight, but maybe a little bit more hope for that 15 car.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was really one that I had on my radar for tonight. If he was here, we had the post-race interviews with him. He was one of our drivers that were interviewed, and he seemed very confident after where he finished and what he did at Indianapolis. And, I asked him, how do you feel going into Pocono for this week? Do you feel like it will be your race from the start to finish? Do you feel confident with it being another 2.5 mile track? And he was really beaming with that confidence and radiating that energy that kind of said, hey, I might be new here, guys, but you got to watch for me. I've just showed you what I'm capable of. I made a full-time car in one race, and now I'm in the top 5. So watch out for me. It's kind of unfortunate that he isn't here tonight, because I really feel like this might have been a race where he could have solidified the rest of his playoff run.
And you also have to realize that, Montreal really, I don't think, is going to be in Ramon's kind of wheelhouse. So that's kind of almost a throwaway race for Ramon. Then you have Kentucky and Daytona, which Daytona can go to anybody. So really, Ramon's best chance at winning his way into the playoffs is in 2 weeks at Kentucky. So we'll have to see what he's able to do here. It looks like we do have some drivers going on track. Looks like the 8 of Mark Morton is the first to go. Saw the 18 of Callahan also pulling off a pit road. So looks like we'll have drivers on track for the last about 30 seconds or so of warm-up.
And we are getting ready, fans. Now is the time wherever you are watching, whether it is at home, you are listening to us in the car, or you are kicked back with the family. This is your time to go get snacks, because when this green flag is dropped, it is going to be action-packed for at least the next 2.5 hours.
Yeah, and you have to wonder what kind of chaos we'll see. We did see a bit of chaos last week at Indianapolis. Obviously, we saw the 2 RFD cars in 2 different incidents. Obviously, some new rules were added in after that regarding bringing your car back to pit road. So obviously some more changes going into this week that I think, like we said, even more covered upon in the drivers meeting. So, I mean, could that be a reason that some of these guys might be a little bit more cautious tonight? Or do you think everyone will still stay relatively aggressive?
I feel like people are still going to be relatively aggressive because, Owen, right now, we just got breaking news from our reporter in the infield. Christian and Josh are here and can advance into the playoffs by points after tonight. And it seems like Trenton Sidden is going, he's pulling from full time right now and will not be a part of the season 2 comfortably. So with all of that happening, it's going to be a big situation to where most of these drivers are going to have to watch their backs now and have to be a little bit aggressive. With that 5 car of Christian Mullins now officially back in, like we have stated, Trenton Sidden is out. That is immediately opened up another spot in the playoffs. This is going to be a little bit more of a need to win race for a few people. And, we're going to have to keep an eye on, because Christian Mullins was able to make it to the track on time to get in that car, but has not set a qualifying time. So that seems to me that he will be starting in the rear of the field.
Yeah, and I think Mullen knows he's in a position where he really doesn't need to set down a qualifying lap. He can just essentially start in park tonight and still make it in on points. So we'll see, what he chooses to do. I think, if he plays his cards right, he definitely has a chance to go out and win tonight. I think Christian's somebody who would benefit on a late race restart. So, we'll have to see what Christian's able to do and if anything falls his way tonight.
Yeah, he really doesn't have to worry about, he doesn't, like you said, he doesn't have to worry about the win. Yes, he has not locked himself in on a win, but where we're at right now, he is pretty comfortable sitting in 9th. He does have a decent amount of points leading the rest of the field, but now it's going to be harder for Mason tonight, having to get that 25-point advantage with Mullins in. That practically puts Mason in a win situation if he wants to fully lock himself in, fighting with Mullins. And then the rest of the field, Broadfoot, Beam, Hansen, Isaiah Fox, they are all now going to have to fight just a little bit harder just to get in comfortably. So we see the 16 practically, I would say everybody from kind of pushing it, but from Broadfoot to Mullins would be pretty good. Thaddeus is going to have to work really hard right now, being 63 back, but with Adams not being present last week and this week, that's going to give him that advantage to possibly push himself up within a few races.
Yeah, I think with France not being here recently and Adams not being here recently, as long as Thaddeus just shows up over the next few weeks, I think we can see the 98 lock himself in after Daytona. Obviously, Brendan Carroll, Aaron Ramon going to be fighting for what we believe to be that 16th spot. So, we'll have to see if anyone kind of comes out of nowhere and picks up a win, someone like maybe a Chase Masco. But other than that, I think that's kind of the only wild card right now that we could see.
Yeah, and Masco sitting pretty comfortably here tonight on the field. One of the few Toyotas on the track tonight. It seems like it's going to be a Chevy dominant track, and that's really a change from last week. We had these Toyotas dominating the top of the field for a really practically majority of the race. Mark Morton ran 87 laps of the race in the lead. So with it being a little bit more of a dominant Ford field, I kind of wonder how it's going to end up happening, for Matsko and Morton. Are we going to see the dominance continue and resurge, or are we going to see new names come out of the barrel tonight and kind of put themselves in a better position where the next 4 races, they don't have to worry about anything. They know that they're solidified.
And I think the big thing about that manufacturer powerhouse right now, 3 of the 4 Tricon drivers are not here tonight, so there are only 3 Toyotas in the field, the 11 of Lewis, and then there's 3 David Callahan Racing Toyotas, so there's 4 Toyotas in the field. It looks like we have about maybe 5 Chevrolets, and then it looks like maybe 3 Fords, so a fairly even field tonight, but we do see Chevrolet being, I guess, the most popular manufacturer for tonight, as warm-up is going to end. And we will go ahead and head to the grid now. As we go ahead and look at the starting lineup, David Callahan in the 18 looking to return to form on pole. Joshua Mason just needs a few points tonight to lock into the playoffs, finds himself P2. Lucas Lewis for Tricon Garage in the 11, winner last week at Indianapolis, is in third. Isaiah Fox has finished second 2 times in the last 3 races. He is in fourth. Chase Matsko, replacing the 20 after a few weeks, is P5. Jordan Parker in the 9, still riding off the high of the win in Nashville, but looking for another before the regular season ends, in 6th. Brandon Broadfoot still looking for that first win in the 22 in 7th. Max Wiesner still looking to make his way to the playoffs on points. Maybe work his way into a win in 8th. Carton Hansen currently in the playoffs on points in that 3 car in 9th. Christian Mullen can lock in tonight just by taking the green flag in 10th. Thaddeus Friel in 11th in that 98, fighting for one of those final playoff spots. Joey Beam in the 41 finds himself in 12th. And then it looks like the 8 of Morton blew his engine before qualifying in 13th. And Brendan Carroll in the 7 in 14th. So we'll see what they're able to do here tonight.
We're getting closer, ladies and gentlemen, to, I would say, one of the best 2.5 mile track races we are going to see alongside of Indianapolis. Back-to-back week action is going to take place tonight. There are possibly going to be feelings hurt, tempers flared, and possibly a new victor crowned here tonight.
Yeah, and our stages, like we said earlier, will be 30, 30, and 60. So we'll have to see what happens here tonight for these drivers.
Only a few more seconds until this green flag is waved, and that pace car will be off the track. David Callahan going to be your control car on the bottom line as the pace car comes off.
And they are here, green here at Pocono Raceway. David Callahan still in first on the bottom side. Looks like the 20 of Matsko didn't get a good jump. We'll see what the 09, the 88 of Mason and Fox are able to do on that high side as Callahan's trying to get clear into 1. Just wants to kind of get ahead and lead both lines. Lewis trying to slide up ahead of the 88 is almost going to slide him into the wall and is going to force the 88 to back out here.
Couple of people trying to not be on the bumper too much too early. Not many moves are being made. Everybody's just kind of trying to figure out where they want to be on the track right now and get that car to sit. That's letting Callahan pull away right now and kind of sit a little bit more comfortable going into lap 2.
Yeah, and I think Callahan's biggest kind of benefactor right now. Oh, Max Wiesner gets loose out of 3. He might have crashed into the wall there. Looks like he is still saving it down the front stretch. Is going to collect it before any major incidents occur.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Wiesner was a good car last week. One of the ones we had called at Indianapolis. It's not something you want to be in a position now 3 seconds back from the other people around him and 6 seconds in total from the leader.
Yeah, I think that, like I was saying, the biggest benefactor right now is Callahan because it's allowing him to save his tires as these guys are trying to rush to get back to him because they were battling so hard. They lost a ton of time while also heating their tires up even more. So the 11 of Lewis, while yes, he is faster than Callahan now, as the race continues, Callahan may just be a little bit quicker than Lewis every single lap because he was able to save his tires the first 2-3 laps of this race.
Right, and that's really going to be the key here is trying to save those tires as long as you possibly can because obviously we're going to have cautions at some point in time, but that's not what a lead car wants to have or they want to see. You really want those green pit stops so you can get your good strategy out and kind of take that advantage. So right now, what we're seeing, not many people making moves. Everybody trying to stay in that draft, keep a little bit of distance, and just kind of settle in, get in these turns comfortably, but not really try to be on that throttle too much.
And what we did see, we saw the 09 of Isaiah Fox try to make a move for third on Parker. We saw Parker make an aggressive block to the bottom. So we'll have to see, I mean, early blocks already in this race. So we'll have to see what happens here.
Throwing a block in early, it's kind of understandable, though. Being in a standpoint of, running a car from time to time before, you do want to block somebody. You don't want to give them that advantage a little bit too early, because only being on lap 4, if you let somebody pass you once in stage 1, they're going to think you're kind of going to be able to do it again over and over. So I could understand the block as long as it wasn't a chop block and it wasn't too late. It is understandable this early in the race.
And what I will say is I think there's a difference between positioning your car and blocking a move. However, the 9 did look like a block to the 09. So we'll see. Obviously, we saw Fox hit around the 9 of Parker, but you have to wonder if maybe Fox will remember that later on in this race as it gets closer to the checkered flag. And I will say that what we've seen here is a big disconnect between the first 2 packs. You see everyone in the top 6 down to Chase Matsko kind of together, and then you see back in 7th, Brandon Broadfoot leading the second pack, about looks like a second and a half behind the 20 of Matsko. So an interesting change here. We expected a little bit more pack racing, but we already see this disconnect on lap 5.
See, and that disconnect is kind of what I was just paying attention to, because it has been growing here the last 3 laps. It is at a sizable distance now. You have to take note as well. Morton is in the back with that pack right now, sitting there. I think that was Hansen that just clipped the wall a little bit in that rear pack. Morton is leading this, is second in this pack behind Broadfoot that is leading right now. And you kind of got to wonder, is this Morton's strategy to sit back, kind of preserve those tires? We do have 30 laps for stage 1, or, is this just where maybe we didn't think he was where he was going to be? He didn't get the start he was expecting and is now kind of suffering.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we definitely will have to pay attention to later on, but this honestly might just be a position gain sort of stage for Morton to set up stage 2, as we see the 09 and the 9 once again battling for P3. It looks like the 88 is continuing to push the 9 of Parker. So the 88 making it known that he is here to push that 9 of Jordan Parker, knowing that he can lock himself into the playoffs here tonight with even just a semi-decent race.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the gain right now charts on my screen, my computer screen next to me. Lewis right now, a couple of our guys in our top 5 have gained a spot or 2. Parker is up 2 positions right now. 88 of Josh Mason is fallen 3 positions from where he started. We really don't have a bigger leader right now that has gained, other than Mark Morton, which has gained 5 positions from his starting position.
Yeah, and my concern right now, if you're Morton, is this track, especially on the straightaways, is going to be extremely draft dependent. I think the gap from the lead from Matsko to Broadfoot being about a second and a half is just too much for Morton to make up. As we go back to this lead pack, it still remains the same top 6, but we have seen some shuffling. Looks like we saw Callahan go to the bottom there in 2. We see the 9 of Parker going to the inside of the 09 of Fox. Looks like he'll make another move for P3. We'll see if Fox is able to defend it once again. The 88 maybe looking to push the 9 by the 09 once again. Looks like he will line up behind his team owner, and they will once again have a drag race down the front stretch.
And that 09's kind of getting left out to dry right now in that high side. That 88 pushing that 9 car, like you said. Oh, 88 looked like he blinked there a little bit. Might be having some connection issues.
Yeah, we do see Callahan moving all the way to the bottom, trying to break the draft to the 11 of Lewis. That's something we probably didn't expect to see this early in the race. Maybe Callahan trying to keep Lewis from gaining on him on the straightaway, but that could also be tearing the tires up for Callahan out of the corner. Because if you're yanking that wheel down the second you're still unloading weight to the right side or to the left side, you know, that could cause even a slide or just an extra little bit of tire wear on that 18 car.
Yeah, looking at the times right now, the gap distance between Lewis and Callahan, Callahan seems to kind of coast into his corners, but he is a little bit more on the throttle earlier than the rest of these drivers, so that's giving him that advantage. But as you stated, it has to be burning his tires to an extent. Right there, he is gaining almost 0.2 of a second on the rest of the field behind him. So you got to wonder, we are 9 laps in right now. He is still kind of dominant here on the track, almost a full second behind the rest of the field right now. But are those tires going to fall off here within the next 15 to 20 laps? And it might have to cause him to pit a little bit earlier than what he wanted to.
And it looks like we do have a battle here for second. Looks like the 9 actually may have squeezed the 11 into the wall. Obviously, the 9 was somebody we saw not happy with the 11's move to win Indianapolis. So maybe getting a little bit of revenge for the 8 of Morton there. However, Lucas does keep P3, Isaiah Fox P4, but Jordan Parker now on the hunt for David Callahan.
Yeah, almost a whole second and a half back is Parker in second place right now, leading the rest of the first pack. Second pack is starting to kind of catch up here. Morton is the lead of them. He's consistently gaining time on the field. I'm trying to watch. It's not much right now. We are only 10 laps in, though. We still have 20 laps to go in stage 1.
The biggest thing for Morton right now is the fact that he's just gotten the draft of Chase Matsko, who's actually trying to get around the 88 of Josh Mason, as Morton's already to the back of this lead pack. He brought the 22 of Broadfoot with him, so I think this lead pack really starting to feel the tire wear. So maybe this second pack actually is going to be better off for the rest of this race.
Yeah, and that was the wonder. Where were we going to see the strategy? Is the front pack going to fall off? Were they pushing too hard? Obviously, right now, as you stated, that is very evident. This second pack is coming in, and they are kind of blazing right now. The 09 into the wall there. That's going to cost Isaiah Fox some time to that 8 car of Mark Morton, which is now in 5th place.
Yeah, Morton making really quick work of this field so far. He's already passed the 20 and the 88 on this lap. So we'll see if he's able to get the 09 this following lap. We'll see, you know, we see him get a massive run on the straightaways. I think he's kind of backing up his entries and just allowing the draft to kind of pull him back up to the car in front of him. As we see Broadfoot try to go to the inside of that 8 car.
Broadfoot still comfortable in here right now. We have 2 cars that have fallen off the most. That would be Carroll and Wiesner. So that backpack lost a little bit, still was able to maintain up here. And now, as you see, they are all fighting for a top 5 position. Morton's going to dive low on Isaiah Fox right there. Might get enough time on him with that draft from the 88 and that 20 behind. And seems like he will be entering that corner now in 4th place. It seems like he has that car dominance right now with the tires to possibly be able to catch up to Callahan.
Yeah, and one thing we did see from Morton in turn 1, you saw him choose the high line to actually get that run on the 09 going into turn 2. We'll see if he tries something similar here on the 11 and the 9 car, but I don't know if he's going to have the pace to get back to the 18 to Callahan. As the 9 actually looks like he's going to try and break the draft to the 11 cars. The 11 is actually going to tag the wall on the front stretch.
Yeah, see, you kind of got to wonder if that was a smart move right there, because the 11 still did gain time with that draft and that whole pack behind him of 5 cars. Morton still behind them leading that. You know, it gave Lewis time to catch up, but there's still not that much motion behind Parker going on to try to pass him and take over second place.
Yeah, I mean, we already see Callahan 2 seconds ahead of the second place car of Parker, so you have to wonder how much, you know, I think Parker's tires really are starting to fall off. Morton's actually keeping pace, if not being a little bit faster than Callahan every single lap, but you have to wonder how much of that is due to the draft effect on the straightaways.
Right, and as you see right there, he did lose a lot of that time not having a car close enough behind him to give him as much draft as he really could have used there. So we're showing it's showing that a lot of the passes that are probably going to happen here are going to be exiting the corners with all of that draft coming in, and you still being able to keep a low line. That it's probably going to be helpful on these straightaways. We've seen Morton already pass in the corner. He's still able to hold that low line dominantly on these tires. 14 laps into the race so far. It's looking pretty good for him, and obviously not enough to be able to catch up to Callahan unless his tires fall off drastically and he cannot make it to the end of this stage. I think Morton will possibly solidify himself with a P2 right here, by the way it's looking, because he's already passing Lewis.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing right now, like we said earlier, stage 1 for Mark Morton is just getting as much track position as he can to set himself up for the rest of this race. And if it continues the way that this is going, I think we can easily see Morton maybe actually go to the lead in stage 2.
Yeah, and now with Morton being in that lead, if he's able to finish in third for this stage, that would put him in that low line. I feel like he might be able to give Callahan that fight. And we could see a trade for stage 2 with Morton being a possible winner right now, just by the way that his car is in stage 1. Stage 2's laps are mirroring stage 1 with another 30. So there's not much strategy that needs to change until stage 3.
In stage 3, really, you can just split into like 2 mini stages and just split it in half. I think that's something that you might see a lot of drivers do. It's something consistent. We see the 22 of Broadfoot actually go to pit road. So can these drivers even make it on fuel?
I don't think drivers are going to have the access to make it on fuel here for a full run. That is possibly also because Broadfoot was in that backpack. They didn't have enough draft as much as the lead cars did. They had a few more cars in there than they did, I think by 2, but that effect could have made a difference. I feel like we're really going to have to kind of wait and see here a little bit longer, as Wiesner's also in pits as well. So it doesn't seem like drivers are going to be able to comfortably make it to the 30th lap, this stage finish.
Yeah, the 9's continuing to block the 8 of Morton. You have to wonder how much longer the 8 of Morton is going to deal with that. That's the second time we've seen an aggressive block from the 9 of Parker. 16 laps into stage 1. I don't think that's going to sit well. And he hooks himself across the nose of the 8. It's not the first time we've seen the 9 try to make an aggressive block that doesn't work out. So, I mean, we know that the 9 wants another win, but maybe not the way to do it right now.
No, but Morton is a very methodical guy. When you pay attention to how he races and how he handles himself, he doesn't let much get to him all the time. Of course, things get under your skin a little bit here and there, but he is very well at he's very good at being able to maintain it very well. So I don't think that the blocks of Jordan are going to get under his skin too much. I think that actually might push Morton to try to make that move a little bit quicker.
I think what's going to happen, though, is if Morton makes that move too quick, the 9's going to react and actually end up hooking himself off the nose of the 8. So, I mean, Jordan really has to be smart about when he throws that block. It hasn't caught him out yet, but it almost caught him out of turn 3 that last lap.
Yeah, not much moves. You see Jordan's trying to break that air right there on the bumper of the 11. 11's breaking their air too. So we could see these cars, these top 3, well, second to fourth right now, are really not wanting to make enough moves to give each other the advantage. They're trying to stay in the lane where it blocks you good enough to not be able to do anything. Jordan right now is left out high to dry out of this draft, so he's going to cycle back at least 2 positions and follow behind that 20 of Matsko.
Yeah, and the Toyotas there did a really great job of kind of isolating the single Chevy. As now all of the Toyota cars in the field find themselves 1, 2, 3, 4. So, I mean, Jordan just kind of got himself stuck in a bad position, tried to make the move on the 11, found the 8 on his outside, and got trapped on that bottom while the 20 just went around his outside. So, just I guess, a slip up in positioning for the 9 car.
See, and now that those 4 Toyotas are lined up bumper to bumper, it is going to help, because it is well known when you put the same manufacturer in order up to 4 cars is really where you get the maximum efficiency of your draft because of the skill set. Unfortunately, they don't have that 4th Toyota of Callahan, so it is just them 3 with that Toyota still fighting. As you see, Parker is going under Mark Morton right now to get that second place. Well, excuse me, try to get that second place and 3rd back, but it's not looking too good right now as he's not able to maintain it 100%.
And my concern right now, if you're Jordan Parker, is maybe he's trying to take these runs before they're really ready. Oh, on the pit road, the 8, the 9, and the 20. The 20 a little bit harder than the rest of them. Looks like he's going to get slowed down in time. He's able to overtake the 9 of Parker. So we do see some green flag stops already from these cars. We'll have to see what Callahan chooses to do. But that means the 22 of Brandon Broadfoot, who pit early at about lap 15... You know, he's been gaining time the entirety of this run.
Yeah, he has slowly been gaining time. Obviously, he is 41 seconds back with that pit. It is a 2.5-mile track. He's going to be able to gain a lot of that time back right now. Also, another person that went in around the same time, Wiesner, unfortunately, he is 6 laps down right now, so that's really not going to make a difference onto who's going to cycle out in the lead or who's going to be possibly in the lead at a later date or later time. Callahan right now actually going into pits. Callahan is into pits here with 10 laps to go in stage 1. This is going to be a little tricky here now because most of the pack behind him has still not been into pits.
And what I will say is we saw the 8 of Morton come out several seconds ahead of Matsko and Parker, so you have to wonder if maybe he took 2 tires while the other drivers chose to take 4. So, I mean, maybe a different strategy call from the 8 that'll help him in this stage.
Yeah, that could be a deciding factor. It might be able to help him here, but you got to wonder right now, is it going to negatively affect him with taking 2 tires? Those left sides might not be up to par with what you're needing out of them for the remainder of this race. So that's kind of got to be something you got to watch to see if his output kind of falls off here in the next few laps. We are close to the end of the stage, but this is kind of a pivotal position. Lucas Lewis is going to come in as well this time, and he's going to be the only car this time by in that top pack to go in.
And what I will say is we see the 8 of Morton actually right behind the 18 of Callahan now, so maybe Callahan once again another 4-tire stop. I mean, this will really be kind of what tells you what's going to be faster, or if 2 tires is an actual viable option. This could be something that Morton maybe pulls out of his pocket in stage 3.
Right now, knowing with this first stage, you really want to get most of your data out. Of course, you have practice laps. These drivers have been at practice before on this track, before the green flag tonight. But now that you're really in the race and around others that you've been practicing to beat all week, it's going to be more of a pivotal time to possibly take that risk and run the 2-tire strategy to see how it actually works for stage 1. Stage 1 isn't that much of a difference. You're really going and gunning to win the race. Stage 1, of course, you're going to lose some points if the strategy doesn't work out, but it's better to get that done early than to be late.
And what I will say is we do still see the 88 and the 98 on the track, as well as the 5 and the 7. The 09 of Fox actually just pit. So you just wonder if maybe they're trying to stretch it. The 88 actually might be out of fuel here. He's slow on the backstretch.
Yeah, I'm noticing that time is dwindling down for those drivers. You see Mason was adding time there, still is. So these drivers aren't 100% on throttle. Mason going to come back and fight them for the lead. Like you said, they still have not pit. So that is going to really be our watch right now. Are they going to be able to make it with tires and gas? Or are they about to be in within the next 2 laps, which is going to cycle them out all the way to the back almost?
Actually, we do see the 88 of Mason stay out, so maybe just choosing to save fuel a little bit just to make sure he has a little bit of insurance to the caution of the end of the stage, as we are 7 to go. We see the 5 of Mullen just needing a decent race to lock into points. I think he actually locks in by starting tonight. And then we have Brendan Carroll in the 7 here in P4. He's the last car to stay on the track right now. And then you have Callahan and Morton. Morton looking like he's kind of stalling to the 18 of Callahan. So The 4 tires maybe a little bit quicker than the 2 tire, but some of that time might be because Callahan pitted 1 lap later than the 8.
Right, and that 1 lap does make a difference here with a 2.5 mile track, and especially the way you're driving the car, it is all going to factor in on your overall tire consumption in a stage. We haven't seen much. Stage 3 is really going to be the trying time for most of these drivers, and could possibly be the deciding factor for someone that hasn't been in the top 5 so far.
Yeah, and it's really just a lot of this right now is just playing around with strategy, and I think we definitely do see the 98 really saving his stuff right now, trying to get a few extra laps of fuel out of this car. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it, but he is really trying to. My concern now would be if it does get to a point that Callahan passes the 98. It looks like the 98 actually might... I mean, I say it looks like he's out, but he is still moving. I think they have to be really close on fuel for the stage.
Well, yeah, just looking at the speed right now, Thaddeus is only running 139 in that corner, opposed to someone like Brandon Broadfoot that is running 180. And right there's the fact Thaddeus and Mason are going to be into pits this time, followed by Christian Mullins. So that seems like we're going to have Brendan Carroll start fighting here to pull up to Mason, which is now going to be your leader.
Yeah, it looks like Carroll is going to inherit the lead of this race. I don't believe... Yeah, Carroll is the only driver now to not take a trip to pit road. So I think he will have to go in this next time by, unless he's been saving this entire time. We'll have to see what the 7's able to do here. Callahan and Morton is still fighting it out. Actually, looks like Callahan has pulled another half second on the 8 of Morton. Then you see the 22 of Broadfoot, who pit way earlier than the rest of this field in 4th. Looks like it's going to be a net position of 3rd once the 7 pits. Then Matsko and Parker still battling it out for 5th. Oh, the 7 and the 87 get into the wall. The 87 to the inside. A massive wreck. We'll see if it pulls the caution here. Not yet. But that is going to force the 7 onto pit road. The
that's gonna
18
hurt on
of Callahan.
time.
Yeah, the 18 of Callahan goes by. The 7 pulls it onto pit road. Looks like he may also receive a speeding penalty.
So look, we are at lap 27 right now. A massive loss right there, as you stated, to Brendan Carroll, which is unfortunate. But something we stated almost 24 laps ago is underway right now. David Callahan in the lead. Mark Morton only roughly a 2 3/4 behind him.
Yeah, and looking back at the replay of that incident, it looks like the 87 of Wiesner just kept the foot in the throttle behind the 7 and drove both of them up into the wall. So I think that is something that's going to have to be looked at after the race by the officials. But you know, another incident for the 87 of Wiesner that could have been avoided.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. Wiesner already not having a good night, sitting in 13th here. Hasn't seen much of a good race so far for, you know, what he's already been dealt here for these first 28 laps.
Yeah, and you have to wonder if maybe the 7 and the 87 got into something early. I mean, obviously, there's a reason that Wiesner was 6 laps down. That makes me think that maybe they had an altercation early on that we didn't see. But even still, if that is the case, there's no reason to go out and full throttle a guy in turn 2.
No, I totally agree with that. You know, that's something that when you are on this track, you are trusting everybody else around you as much as everybody else is trusting you. Once you break that trust with one driver, it's kind of hard to get it back from the rest. So hopefully this isn't a targeted situation, and you know, it's still good. There's not bad blood between them, but I don't know after that.
Yeah, and that's something, like we said, leading up into the playoffs. You know, these rivalries, they're going to happen. You're going to see people have these altercations wanting a chance at the playoffs, especially people like Wiesner, who got into the series a little bit late. So, I mean, I can see the frustration, but at the same time, this is not the place to deal with it.
No, but that's going to, thankfully, that didn't really happen much in front of our leaders. So Callahan was going to be able to pull away from that. Still has only added another 10th onto Morton, but with 2 laps remaining, lap 29 of 30 in stage 1, it is really Callahan's stage here. Morton cannot really do much to catch up.
And what I will say is we saw Brandon Broadfoot pit a little bit earlier. He's now been passed by the 9 of Parker in the 20 of Matsko. So those 5-lap older tires finally catching up to the 22 machine. But, I mean, you have to wonder if maybe that is a genuine option for later on in this race. As I do think he actually did gain a little bit of time to these cars because of the clean air. So we'll have to see if anyone tries that again in stage 2. But David Callahan, once again, leading most of the way here except for the pit cycle into turn 2. Once again, just a dominating performance in the first stage. What's your takes on that, Tyler?
This is what I've been wanting to see from Callahan for the past month. I've been calling for his dominance back each week in this booth. It's something that has been it's kind of been a resurgence that we've all been waiting to see. We've just it's been through gritted teeth the last couple of weeks. He hasn't had a dominant race like this from the start. And it's just good to see David Callahan able to take stage 1. He has led 25 laps out of 30 for stage 1. He is already in the books to have a dominant stage 2. We're just going to have to wait and see how the full strategy of stage 3 plays out.
But yeah, like we said, a dominant stage for the 18 of Callahan, something that he desperately needed in his points battle with Parker. However, he does only gain 2 points on the 9 machine, but that is another playoff point in the bank for the 18. So once again, racking up the playoff points. If he can win the regular season title, that'll be another, I think, either 15 or 25. So that'll really push Callahan into the early stages. As we are going to go ahead and hear from some of our partners as we go picture in picture for pits.
3, 2, 1. And we are from commercial break. As you saw in stage 1, David Callahan, a dominant car, has won stage 1, led 25 laps of this race so far. Mark Morton started off not too far behind him and was able to make his way back up into second place to finish out the stage.
David Callahan, like we said, extremely dominant this time by. We'll see what the Nina Parker is able to do. We saw him get into a little bit of an altercation with the Ada Morton. We see that Ada Morton actually has fallen all the way back, it looks like. Not actually seeing him on the relative. Maybe a long pit stop for the 8.
Yeah, he's fallen all the way back into 11th place now.
Not entirely sure what happened there. So we'll have to see if the 87 is able to work his way through the field again. He was able to find his way up to second. We'll see if he's able to rekindle that magic and maybe finish one spot higher, but he'll have to pass his team owner of David Callahan in the 18.
And Callahan, probably smart strategy here, starting on the high line, letting Parker go low, probably going to burn his tires out a little bit more. We see Broadfoot in that high line, Lucas Lewis behind them, and then Thaddeus Friel. So this high line right now has a couple of names we haven't really seen in this top 5 consistently. Gotta want to keep my eyes on Broadfoot. He had a good strategy. He started in the back, saved a little bit of gas, was able to get a good time on that strategy with the tires. Now is sitting in 3rd place, so it's going to be possibly a good restart for him here.
And we'll have to see what happens here as the pace car pulls onto pit road. They're in the restart zone. David Callahan going to shoot on that top side, trying to get a little bit of momentum out of turn 1, it looks like. We'll see what he was able to do. The 9 of Parker, no help. The 18 of Callahan trying to clear to the bottom as they're going to go ahead and go into the first turn. He's going to get down on the nose of the 9, find himself clear, and drive away.
And this is kind of what we've already seen in stage 1 from Callahan. He let those cars from second back fight, and he was able to pull away with a decent lead. He's already pulling away here so far, but Broadfoot's not going to let that happen. Broadfoot's still behind him.
Oh, they're wrecking in the back. I don't know where it was. We did see a lot of smoke. Looks like maybe the 98 of Thaddeus Friel. We see him slow out of turn 2. But a lot of chaos already on this opening lap.
Yeah, kind of what we expected here. Some drivers have been in the back. They've been impatient. They are now regrouped up in this pack for the start of stage 2. I kind of anticipated this to happen a little bit earlier in the race, but it is definitely something we're seeing. We've already have 2 pack separation from Thaddeus all the way back to Wiesner. There is 2 packs already situated in this race, with Callahan leading the entire troop.
Yeah, and I will say a big thing that we see is Morton once again has found himself at the back of the at the back of the second pack. So maybe trying to save his tires once again, maybe seeing if he can get his fuel to go the distance. Obviously, this is still a 30-lap stage, but they really didn't start until lap 34. So if he can stretch the fuel maybe 2 or 3 more laps than he did that first stage, I think it's definitely possible that we can see Morton try and get to the end of this stage without pitting.
Right, it is very possible. As you see, that's probably why Morton went to the back. You saw it, Indy, in the beginning when he had that pole win. He actually wanted to do the end of line, but then decided to change his mind about it. Thankfully, it worked out well for him, but that might be what we're seeing him do tonight. He kind of wanted to go to the back to get a better restart, save those tires, get that draft from that rear pack, and kind of push back up to where he was, but hopefully get that stage win this time.
Yeah, and speaking about restart, someone we saw have maybe not the best restart in the world is the 9 of Parker. He started second, the first car on that inside, didn't have any help from the 20 of Matsko, and now finds himself in P5 or P4 fighting Lucas Lewis. Matsko right behind him, and then his teammate in the 88 who helped him earlier in the race. Looks like they're going to actually get into a battle right here. These 4 cars neck and neck. as they're going to go ahead and head into turn 1. The 9 of Parker under the 11 of Lewis. Looks like he is going to get clear in 1. We'll see if the 11 of Lewis is able to hold any momentum on the outside. No, the 9 of Parker is going to be clear in P4.
And this is what we've seen from Parker in stage 1. He came out, was able to hold his position, threw some blocks to kind of keep his position, but it cost him his tires. Right now, he is a freight train. He is trying to get up to that top pack of Fox, Broadfoot, and Callahan, but is it going to be at the cost of his tires once again here in stage 2?
Yeah, I mean, Jordan is somebody who we see maybe not always be strong on the long run, but is usually pretty solid short run. I think it really does depend on how the track is driven. Somewhere like Homestead, somewhere like Pocono, that's going to be really, I guess, tire dependent. He struggles a little bit, but Nashville, we saw him pretty good on the long run. A lot of the basic intermediates, he's really good on the long run, but these kind of wonky tracks, you see him struggle a little bit to keep the tires under him.
Right, and this isn't really where he wants to be himself. We only have 4 weeks left in the regular season, Pocono being one of those weeks. Jordan needs to catch Callahan as much as possible. He's already lost another 2 points on Callahan with stage 1. If he really wants to be a 2-time regular season champion, he lost 17 in Indy. He's already at a 19-point deficit. You know, this is not where he wants to be. His head has to be in the right place. He has to be a little bit aggressive, but at a position to where it doesn't cost him too much.
Yeah, and the issue for Jordan Parker is the fact that going into this race, he was 58 behind Callahan. As of right now, he's now 60 points behind Callahan. If he's able to hold that gap, he would still need to make up 20 points a race for the last 3 races. As Brendan Broadfoot in the 22 gets into the wall out of turn 1. But Jordan Parker, if he's able to hold Callahan to just those 2 points gained tonight, he will have to gain 20 points at each race for the rest of the season, which is going to be highly, highly challenging for that 9 car.
Right, you know, even though he is at the point where the trials and tribulations of the season are almost wrapped up, that's something that's always going to stay in the back of his mind, and that can affect his output. At some points in times, you have to let go and kind of just figure and focus on the task at hand. It's going to be a little bit difficult for him. Of course, he doesn't want to lose that title, but some things just can't happen all the time.
And it really hasn't been like a lack of performance from Parker that's caused the points deficit. It hasn't been a really great performance from Callahan. It's been just a lot of bad luck that Parker had the first, 5-6 races of the season where he was getting wrecked in the first 10 laps, finding himself several laps down before stage 1 ended. Wasn't able really, able to get any of those positions back. So he was 100 points behind the 18 of Callahan at one point and has actually got himself back up to that 60-point deficit, but has kind of hit that brick wall now and hasn't been able to make a dent in that points battle.
Right, and as we see, Callahan might be proving himself worthy of that regular season championship. He has dominated stage 1 other than the pit cycles. He is now dominating stage 2 as he has officially led 36 laps of this race. We are on lap 42 right now of stage 2. Callahan roughly a second faster than the pack behind him. Isaiah Fox is in second place. As we've been mentioning, Jordan Parker in that 9 in third. Lucas Lewis, someone that we have eyes on. He did get that win last week, swept it from Morton at the last 2 laps. He is still in that top 5 pack, and Broadfoot has fallen off a bit here, but he is still in that top 5 right now, fighting with Joshua Mason to keep that spot.
Yeah, and we'll have to see how this battle goes. Obviously, the top 7 right now in their own pack. But if you look 3.5 seconds behind them, you can see them at the back of the screen. The 8 of Morton now starting to try to catch up to this pack. Looks like he is starting to do so a little bit, but maybe a little too late. I think that fuel strategy is going to be his only friend here. We'll have to see what he's able to do in the 8 machine as Callahan continues to lead over Fox. The 11 of Lewis going around the 9 of Parker actually into turn 2. So the 11 starting to fight back now after falling all the way back to 5th at one point.
Yeah, that's a little tough right now. You don't want to lose the positions, especially not at this point of the race. It's something you've really got to limit damage control to an extent. You can't get much of it done all the time, but you do need to limit it here. With us having still half of a stage left to go, it's not something that you want to see happen. Losing positions is not the goal here.
Yeah, and we've kind of seen some comers and goers tonight. Obviously, you'll see somebody really surge to the front, and then they'll fall back, and then they'll come back, to second or third in the line. But Callahan really hasn't had a chance to fall back other than, during the pit cycle, which, he did lose a lot of time to Morton in that first stage. But that gap to Morton, even if Morton pits, 7 laps earlier, he's not going to gain enough time to get back to the 18 of Callahan. And even if he does, Callahan's going to have 7 lap fresher tires.
Yeah, that's a fight we're really going to have to watch on right now. I'm trying to look at the data for Mark Morton, as you mentioned. He is sitting comfortably in the back. He's running a little bit slower than the rest of the field right now. They're running about 192 in the corner. In the straightaway. He's only touching roughly about 178, 180. So it seems like he is trying to conserve enough to possibly get him that advantage, maybe by a lap or 2 over Callahan for this pit cycle.
And the really interesting thing is we do actually see Morton starting to gain on the 18 of Callahan. If you look at the time board, he's continuing to shorten that gap. So either Morton was really saving his tires and is beginning to push a little bit, or Callahan has also begun to fuel save and has to fuel save a little bit harder than the 8 of Morton because he's starting so much later.
Yeah, that's the problem about wanting to come out and be dominant from the flag, from the green flag to the finishing of the stage. You have that disadvantage with losing tires a little bit, and that's not really something you want to see. Just you don't want to fall off too early, and especially with it being a 30 lap stage, you don't want to have to pit earlier by 2 laps than you did in stage 1.
Oh, the 9 hits the wall. The 9 bounced off the wall into the 11 of Lewis. That's, once again, another aggressive move maybe we've seen from both the 11 and the 9. Once again to one another. Obviously, the 9 put the 11 in the wall early in stage 1. You have to wonder if maybe the 11 was returning the favor to the 9. Could have ended really poorly that time, but they're both able to gather up. The 9 moves into 3rd. The 11 falls back to 4th.
See, and Lucas needs to watch out for that. He has had 2 a little bit controversial wins this season. One being last week at Indy with contact being made for that position. So right now, Lucas needs to be a little bit cautious about as much contact on the field. He doesn't want a possible penalty accrued on him, especially this late into the season. A points penalty can affect you depending on where you sit in the standings.
Lucas early in the season was at a point where he was leading the regular season. He got that huge penalty after... Oh, Josh Mason wide in turn 2. But he got that huge penalty after Talladega. Lost about 150 or 100 to 150 points. Fell back to 3rd in the standings. Missed a few weeks in that 11 car. And now finds himself lower down in the points. I believe now that he is... he's fallen all the way to P5 in the points. He's 182 behind Callahan. So, could only be 50 or so behind Callahan if he didn't get that penalty after Talladega.
Right, and right now he is locked into the playoffs, as stated with that win last week at Indianapolis. But you don't want to possibly have that playoff penalty added to you. Depending on your severity, it could be assessed from the race control. If you have too much contact leading into a wreck, or just not keeping your car within the racing limits, if it's done enough, a penalty can happen to where you do lose that advantage over playoff points, and that's not something you want going into round 1. Round 1 is going to be a little tricky with the tracks that we have. First would be Chicagoland, and then Richmond, and then we are going to Watkins Glen for the elimination race. with that road course thrown in there, you don't want to be at a disadvantage for points. So I would really, if I was Lewis, I would really watch that much contact. I really wouldn't be sending receipts for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I do think that Watkins Glen, looking at the schedule for the playoffs, Watkins Glen as a cutoff race is either going to be, it could be incredibly exciting, especially if we get a late restart. You get a lot of people really just sending it down into turn one for position, maybe that 1 or 2 points they need to advance. So, Watkins Glen could be a real nail biter coming down to the wire. But right now, Pocono sits pretty calmly in Callahan's yard.
Yeah, I would really say this is Callahan's resurgence. This has been something I've been wanting to see, and a lot of his fans have been wanting to see here for the last couple of weeks. He's had a number to call, and he's finally cashed it in. I really felt like he could have had that Indianapolis race. He just didn't get the best of luck there to be able to get up into the lead. I feel like he could have had it at Darlington as well. But now we are seeing what Callahan has been sitting on for roughly almost a month now, and that is pure horsepower and dominance in that M&M car.
Yeah, we really haven't seen Callahan be a major factor. I mean, he ran second to Morton for a large majority of Indianapolis, but other than that, the month or so prior, he was just having bad luck or just not performing in general. So to see Callahan dominate like this is a little surprising after the last few months, but a welcome surprise at that.
Absolutely. Something that I feel like he has, kind of been looking for. I will say me and him were talking on the track after the race a couple of weeks ago, and he kind of nudged me on my shoulder and was like, "Hey man, why do you keep saying I'm not dominant?" And I told him, I was like, where I'm saying you're not dominant from is you haven't had a consistent finish within 2 to 3 positions. Last week he started in 7th, went to 4th, went to 6th. That was what I was wanting to see within 1 or 2 positions. But here, after that conversation we had last week, he showed me, he put my money where my mouth is. He's shown where his dominance really is, and that is Pocono here at a 2.5 mile track.
And somewhere like Pocono, it's going to show a little bit more how much practice you put into it. As we saw the 88 of Mason really hit that wall a bit hard at a turn 2, but somewhere like Pocono, the more laps you put into it, it's going to show more than any other track like at Vegas or in Atlanta or, maybe even a Martinsville, just because of how awkward the track is here. But Callahan really kind of proving that practice that he did during the week has paid off.
Absolutely. He has been running effortlessly with his team all throughout the week. I've had eyes on it. I've talked to him here and there, asked him how they're doing, kind of tipped in on some of their practices. They've been working at this track for weeks. They were confident on Montreal going into it. They don't really feel like they need much practice when we go there next week. They were really focused on Pocono being that race, Callahan especially, and he is proving that dominance tonight. He roughly sits around 2.5 seconds back from Lucas Lewis in second place right now. Lucas, off of that win last week that locked him into the playoffs. Brandon Broadfoot from RFD in that single solo Ford in the top 5 right now, or roughly in the top 10 almost. There's only him and Thaddeus in there. But Brandon is putting on for RFD right now in third place and kind of holding dominance right now. Something we didn't see him have in stage 1.
Yeah, what I will say, and that's what I was watching on the broadcast for a little bit, Mark Morton has found his way up into this pack. He now sits P6. You could see out of turn 1 how much more tire he had over the 88 of Mason, maybe the 88 saving a little bit. The 9 of Parker now pushing the 11 of Lewis around the 22 of Brandon Broadfoot. The 09 of Isaiah Fox looking to follow the 9 of Parker, as they are both going to clear. The 09 of Fox still stuck on that outside. He's still going to try and wrap it around. Almost catches the wall. Looks like he is going to get around the 22 of Brandon Broadfoot. So the single Ford now finds himself in P5, getting hunted down by the 8 of Morton, who's now diving to the low side in turn 3. Ooh!
Yeah, and Morton making his way back.
Yeah, we saw the 09 of Fox. Yeah, the 09 of Fox slammed that outside wall, lost 2 positions immediately. The 22 of Broadfoot actually almost rear-ended the 09. And that could have ended way worse.
Yeah, that's going to add some time there between Fox and Mason. Mason not being in a position where he really wants to be tonight. He was in the top 5 at one point, had a good grid spot, but is now sitting comfortably in 7th, really not where he wants to be. So now we're seeing this disconnect. That means Isaiah is probably going to fall back to that rear pack, as we're kind of seeing right now. That rear pack is going to have another resurgence again, but it is going to not have, I don't think they're going to have much of a gap here. We only have roughly 4 to 5 cars in that top pack, 4 cars in that bottom, but Fox is going to go in, so that is going to hurt that rear pack as well as we start seeing pit cycles begin.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's really a pit cycle. I think that's a damage repair for the 09 of Fox, maybe some wheel damage on that machine. He would get the lap back, I believe, as the free pass, so maybe just fixing whatever damage is needed on the 09 machine. Is this pack, this battle for P2 starting to heat up a little bit. It's Lewis, Morton, Parker, and Broadfoot as Morton pushes Lewis around the sole Chevy in the top 5, as Lewis and Morton now move into 2nd and 3rd respectively, and all Toyota top 3, then Ford and Chevy battling for 4th.
Yeah, and that Safe Light 11 car right now, trying to hold it as much as possible. Morton is going to go low on him there. Going to make the move, has the draft of Parker, but probably not going to be enough here. Parker going to cycle back up high. That's going to leave Morton out to dry there. He's probably going to lose 2 to 3 positions here if he doesn't get that draft back.
Yeah, and we do see the 11 of Lewis kind of pull the 22, force the 2 behind him to battle. It allows him to kind of get some clean air and pull away. We saw Callahan do that on both restarts. Worked out for him. He's now 3 seconds ahead of this pack. Lewis going to pull down to the bottom ahead of Morton. It's going to allow the Brandon Broadfoot in the 22 to go around the outside with more momentum. Is going to trap the 11 on the bottom. Now he's going to get freight trained.
Yeah, a lot of what we're seeing right now is that fight for 2nd place. Broadfoot able to walk away from that fight right now, comfortably in 2nd place. But there is a 3-second gap to Callahan, roughly the same what we saw last stage. About the same time, about 10 to 12 laps in is really where you saw Callahan's dominance take place and him add that lead onto the field. Morton, now sitting in 4th place, was able to make it back up to 2nd and start fighting Callahan for the stage win. You've got to wonder, with Morton being in that position now, when pit cycles do start for these lead pack drivers, is Morton going to be able to take that away from Callahan?
Now, we've already seen pit cycles start. The 11 of Lewis is on pit road now. So maybe Fox was a scheduled pit stop, but we see Broadfoot, Parker, Mason maybe not able to make it. I think Morton really could make it. The question right here is if Callahan can do the same. We saw him saving maybe a little bit earlier on. Looks like he's going to stay out for now. We'll see what everyone else decides to do in this pack. Looks like the top 5 all stay out for now.
And Callahan, just by his telemetry, it doesn't seem like he's holding back too much. He's hitting roughly about what these other drivers behind him are hitting speed-wise in these straightaways and in these corners, maxing out roughly about 177, 179 with the rest of them. So it doesn't seem like he's saving too much. He might be braking a little bit earlier in his corners, which could coasting around those corners could give him that half-lap advantage, three-quarter lap advantage. But I don't think he's going to be able to pull away with much. I mean, Broadfoot already has him down to 1.8 seconds. So there's already a 2-second loss on
Callahan's
that time
pitting
from Callahan.
Callahan's pulling in. So Callahan can make it on fuel. We'll have to see if everyone else can. Broadfoot takes the lead. Parker 2nd. Morton 3rd.
And this is going to be make or break for Brandon right now. He's in the lead. Jordan Parker shoots low and takes that away from him. He's going to cycle out a little bit, but that might be what he wants. He might not want to be in that lead pack right now. He might want that draft, as we are just waiting to see who's going to be the next set of drivers to come down pit road.
As Parker's taken the lead from the 22 of Broadfoot, coming to the final lap of stage 2. An interesting development. You have to wonder if maybe Callahan's trying to flip the stage.
Yeah, it's a little tricky right now. You know, trying to put my finger on it. You see, he had a great stage one. There really wasn't so much of a disconnect between him and his chief. They seemed like they had it down pat. The strategy was really good. You gotta kind of wonder where stage two went wrong. It was the same amount of laps. All he really had to do is go out there and run the same strategy. So I'm wondering if the rubber buildup on the track is starting to affect that tire wear to where, you know, you can't run aggressive and be dominant the entire race.
And I don't think it's a tire issue. I think it was a fuel thing because everyone else was able to be in the draft of the car ahead at some point, save a little bit of fuel. It might have been those 2 laps that Callahan needed. As we're going into turn 3, it looks like Morton might try and line up a move on the 9 of Parker. The 9 of Parker probably going to block it really aggressively. The 8 to the bottom. 9 going to try and shut his door. The 8 still to the bottom is going to hold the 9. Looks like the 9 is going to hold off the 8 and win stage 2. Jordan Parker in the number 9 Chevrolet is able to stay ahead of the 8 of Morton and the 22 of Brandon Broadfoot.
And this is what Parker needed right now. It gave him a decent amount of points over Callahan as Callahan dropped to 7th. So that's going to give him some of that points gain back that he lost last week and in stage 1, but it's still not enough.
And after that conclusion of stage 2, we're going to go ahead and go back to picture-in-picture while we wait for these pit stops here in leading into stage 3. So we will catch you when we are back from commercial.
Our time. We know what we gotta do. Stay in the fight between the walls.
Time to turn the intensity up.
Fight to the end, no matter what happens. Good day to be in victory lane.
Green flag is in the air. Driving with conviction. Side by side, hammer down. The afterchecks are lit. Count out anybody. Who wants it the most?
We are eyes on the leader now.
He is driving his guts out. Wheel to wheels, they come to the line. What a victory this will be.
Nobody wants it more than you.
Next lap is going to end it.
Does he have enough?
A dominant performance.
You gotta stay down, baby. Let's go.
Can you believe what you are seeing? Everybody pushing as hard as they can in one final shot.
You gotta earn this thing right here to the end.
It is all on the table.
A total 500.
Your engine!
are back here at the Axalta 300. 2 stages have officially been completed. And as you see on your screen right now, with that strategy late in stage 2, that had allowed David Callahan to get the lead. Mark Morton, the 2 people that were fighting in stage 1 are now side by side here at the restart. And last week's winner, that 11 of Lucas Lewis that gave Morton a hard time and took that win away from him, is now sitting behind them in P3.
And the biggest thing you have to think about here is the fact that Morton has been starting in the back the last 2 stages. You have to wonder what he's going to be able to do starting up front here with Callahan.
Yeah, and that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. The field has really shifted here a lot after that strategy. A lot of people had lost cycles in pits because of overshooting their box. Pace car is off. Green flag is waved for stage 3 here in Pocono, and it seems like David Callahan is not going to be able to get that good advantage that he has been getting off the start here. We're going to have to watch these next 3 laps and see if there's going to be any leeway, as they're already 3 wide for the lead.
Yeah, Morton going to try and roll the momentum on the top here. We'll have to see what they're able to do.
Morton is edged out in front of Callahan by a whole card length and is now officially a new leader.
And that's Morton for the first time tonight into P1. Callahan finds himself in second on pace for the first time tonight, and Lucas Lewis falls to 4th. Jordan Parker already aggressive once again on the restart. Lewis may be looking for 3 wide on P2. He's going to slide behind Callahan. We'll see what he does here at a turn 3. He's going to stay behind his manufacturer teammate, push him through past the 9. We'll see if he goes for a move here into turn 1.
Yeah, and this is something we're going to have to keep our eye on. Callahan comfortably sitting in second right now. He might have realized he burnt too much fuel not being in that draft. That is probably why we saw him lose all of that time having to go pit and letting Jordan Parker take stage 2. Right now, Callahan is having to figure out that momentum. Morton seems like he has his strategy down for 3. That long run is where it's going to be now. We have 60 laps in stage 3.
As Callahan's already starting to track down the 8 of Morton already, so Callahan may be pushing a little bit harder than Morton. We'll see what happens here as these teammates battle for the lead for, I believe, the first time tonight.
And that's something we're going to have to keep our eye on. Morton has the experience. Callahan and Morton, both seasoned drivers of this track. We're going to have to pay attention as they are both, like you said, they are both on the same team, have both been practicing all week. They know each other's strategy. You've got to wonder if this is going to come in play here tonight, or if they might have shaked it up a little bit on each other and made a few adjustments that the other one doesn't know about.
Yeah, and that's something that we've seen Morton kind of show up in the final stage of these races. I mean, Nashville really was Morton's race to lose in stage 3. Obviously, Parker dominated the first 2 stages, and then Morton just ran away in stage 3. So maybe looking like something similar here in Pocono tonight.
Yeah, and Morton already being locked in, and Callahan already being in with Lewis, Parker. Those top 4 are really not fighting for the spot to be comfortable in the playoffs. They are fighting for that spot for the points, and it does matter because this adds that extra edge to stay comfortable. You don't want to lose that advantage. With them having that position, they don't really have to worry about that. They're just going for stats here tonight, and just that edge. Parker's still trying to get that lead over Callahan, but it is not going to be by a drastic margin here tonight. As you've already seen, he lost 2 points to him in stage 1, was able to make some points back in stage 2, but now sits 2 positions still behind Callahan.
Yeah, and that's, like we said, just trying to minimize the points damage is the 9 of Parker, but he did actually gain some points back at the end of stage 2 with Callahan choosing to pit early. Jordan actually gained, I believe, 6 points on Callahan that stage, so now at a net gain of +4 this race. We'll see what Parker's able to do. Really just needs to finish ahead of Callahan to make any sort of dent in the points standing. So we'll see if he gets desperate here, maybe makes a move that could be frowned upon later on this week.
Yeah, and right now I feel like we're already seeing the same routine we've seen from these drivers here in these first two stages following to the third. We already have a two-pack break up here. Ooh, there's a little bit of contact. Jordan went to go high there and try to pass Lucas Lewis, but Lucas didn't give him that much space.
I'm going to go ahead and take another look at this real quick. Actually, an very interesting incident here. Is that right? No. The 9 already back to the 11, trying to go around the outside. Oh, turning down, wrecking the 11. The 11's going to turn back up onto the track right in front of everybody. And that is... You have to wonder if that's a little bit of retribution, and if so, that's not going to be... I don't think a lot of people are going to be happy with that from the 9 of Parker. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the 11 of Lewis. We see him in the inside wall there. Let's go ahead and back this up, see what causes it. We come back from trying to take a look at what caused it. We see the 9 of Parker on the outside going to be aggressive on the 11 of Lewis. Just doesn't let out of the throttle. Maybe gets loose on the exit of 1. We're going to go and take an in-car look with the 9 of Parker here. It actually looks like he tries to turn in, stays turned in, maybe a little bit. Definitely an interesting incident. Let's go and take an in-car from the 11 of Lewis here. Yeah, from his angle, just gets nailed in the side, catches that inside wall, spins back up, tags the outside wall a little bit here. Hopefully some minor damage to the 11, but definitely some damage done.
I will say Lucas did a very good job there doing damage control. You see, as soon as he made contact, he knew he was going to that inside wall. He immediately turned that wheel all the way to the right and locked up his brakes and really minimized the damage that could have been on that car there.
Yeah, and like we said, I mean, that wouldn't be the first time tonight that we've seen what we think could be retribution. But like I said, I don't think that's, really the time or place to do so. Obviously, both Jordan and Lucas have been known for getting a bit heated at times, so that might not be the last time we see these two come together.
No, and I was kind of looking out to see if it was going to be Morton and Lewis after last week, but there is kind of shows that it might not be a problem between them after the situation to take the win away from Morton last week.
Yeah, we do see a lot of people pulling the pit road, maybe make their stages a little bit easier on fuel. But, I mean, yeah, the 11... I mean, the issue is with the 11 and the 9, they've had issues season long. The 11 was originally the 24 for Parker. Actually got fired mid-season, moved to Tricon. And, they've been at ends almost the entire season. So not surprising to see those two run together.
Yeah, and hopefully this is something that can kind of weed itself out before the playoffs. Those being two drivers that are locked in at a playoff position, that it could be a very pivotal race where, tempers may get flared again between them two, and that could really cost them a position and in the spot for the next round.
Yeah, so I mean, that's definitely something that we'll have to take a look out for. Isaiah Fox here, actually the only car to stay out. David Callahan comes out of pit road first, then Christian Mullen, Brandon Broadfoot, Jordan Parker. Mark Morton loses a ton of spots on pit road. Josh Mason, Thaddeus Friel, Chase Matsko, Carden Hansen, and then Lucas Lewis still sits on pit road repairing damage. So it looks like, maybe a 2-tire call for the top 5. Obviously, Fox stays out. Morton looks like he could have taken 4. So, and already some differences in strategy here in the final stage.
See, right now, if I was in the pits, as though from driver, I think position 2nd to 9th, all went into pits, I would have taken that 4-tire stop, only because this is a 60 lap stage. There is a lot still at stake here. We still are fairly underway of stage 3. We're still very early. That two tire strategy can really make or break you right now, knowing that you still have to pit at least 2 more times.
And the thing is, too, I mean, they really have 6 laps on these tires. I think pitting for just right sides isn't a bad call. Now, if they'd run 20, 30 laps, you know, maybe you want to take left sides. But we saw Morton on 20-some lap old left side tires in stage 1 come out and be almost the same pace as Callahan, who'd been up front all day on 4 fresh tires. So, I mean, I don't think a 2-tire call is you know, the wrong call at all here.
No, not at all. Especially if you're running a good strategy, it can really work out for you. It just really depends on the driver. Not many drivers are comfortable taking, you know, just 2 rights or 2 lefts, depending on where your majority of your wear is. It really just all falls into where you're sitting and how comfortable you are in that car. A two-tire strategy can really win a race. It has to come at the right time and at the right place. I feel like here, with it being a 2.5 mile, there are long straightaways, 3,000 feet front stretches. You know, this is a place where a 2-tire strat really can work out for you. You just have to be in that right position to do it.
And we'll see who can be in the right position here. Isaiah Fox is going to lead his first laps tonight on strategy. We'll see how long he keeps the lead with Callahan on his inside. Jordan Parker lines up 3rd, obviously was just involved in that last caution. We'll see what he's able to do. But maybe the Toyotas kind of watching their backs now.
I would say so myself, because we have a Toyota, David Callahan, sitting in 2nd, and you don't see another one until Morton, all the way back in 8th. Madsko is above him in that high line. So there is a really disconnect right now. It is a really dominant top 5 for Chevy.
As the pace car pulls off, we're going into the restart zone. Actually, looks like Isaiah Fox fires off. Looks like Callahan actually got a jump for a second there. We'll see what happens with that. Jordan Parker going to file behind the 18 of David Callahan. Maybe look for a move into turn 1. Right now, still filed behind the 18. Looks like he's content staying there for now. Callahan to the inside of Fox. Fox trying to hold the momentum on the outside. Callahan actually maybe a bit of a door bang. Mason slides up in 5th. Broadfoot to the inside of Mason as they're drag racing down the backstretch.
In a drag race, it is right now. No one is really giving leeway to the other driver. They're trying to assert that dominance early on, right after that caution break. 09 of Fox on the outside, like you noted, this is his first laps led all night, but Callahan really dominantly holding that low line all the way under the apron and is still side by side right now. They have more cars on that high line, so you're going to start seeing that disconnect between that low line's draft. But is it going to be enough for Isaiah to hold that lead?
We do see the 9 of Parker go all the way to the bottom 3 wide, trying to go around the 18 of Callahan. Callahan went to block. So he's going to slide up into the 88 of Morton. The 9 getting into the 18.
Uh-oh.
Once again, out of turn 1, a little bit of chaos. Callahan continues to fall. Morton, Lewis, Matsko all back here. Toyotas have gone from being in the top 4 at one point this race to being 7th. Oh, they're spinning. Looks like the 09 of Fox catches the 98. There's another wreck in the back. The 98, the 09. I think the 3 of Hansen may have caught a part of that.
Yeah, that caused a lot there. I feel like Isaiah got the worst out of all of that.
Let's go ahead and go back to what caused the caution, the second caution for cause tonight. Going into turn 1, Isaiah Fox still battling for that lead. Christian Mullen on the inside. Josh Mason misses the corner. A little bit of net code. Hooks the 09. The 09 comes back down, collects the 98. Yeah, looks like the 88 of Mason, maybe just a little tight, missed the corner, misjudged, gets into the 09, turns the 09 around. Sucks for Isaiah Fox, who's having such a good run, even on the older tires, was able to hold his own. But looks like he is going to have to recover once again. Christian Mullen in the 5. is actually going to inherit the lead here. What are your thoughts, Tyler?
You know, thankfully, Isaiah didn't get much damage on his car, just from the looks of it here in the booth. With Christian in the lead, this is something that I don't think any of us kind of saw it coming in stage 3. He was really quiet. We got notification roughly 2.5 minutes before the green flag dropped that he will be present here tonight. He used a provisional last week. Looked like he was going to use another one tonight. But, you know, it is now officially cycled all the way into P1. This is someone that isn't locked into the playoffs off a win, but is practically comfortably locked in now off of points. This stage also could solidify that a little bit more if he's still able to sit here and hold this lead all the way to the win.
And we'll see what he's able to do here. Obviously, there's still at least one guaranteed pit stop required, as everyone looks like they're going to pull onto pit road now. We see Callahan. Actually, it looks like Callahan's going to stay out here on the track. Hansen going to stay out as well in the 3 car. Everyone else going to pull onto pit road. So Callahan taking a gamble, saw what the 09 was able to do against him. Maybe trying to get some track position back after his skirmish with the 9. We'll have to see what happens here on pit road now, as we are going to go ahead. Actually, we do get confirmation Christian Mullen and Josh Mason have locked into the playoffs on points as of the end of stages 1 and 2. So that is another 2 spots guaranteed to those 2 drivers. So 2 more Chevys have made their way into the playoffs.
And taking a look at that playoff bracket now with Christian Mullen and Josh Mason, that adds 10 people to the good for playoffs. That means it's going to be a fight now between Broadfoot and Burns. Burns sitting comfortably in front of Broadfoot by roughly 50 points. But now adding Christopher Franz being out and Trenton Sitton not being a full-time driver for the rest of season 2 and missing that spot, that's going to add a little bit more leeway with Thaddeus Friel and Brendan Carroll here tonight.
Yeah, and like I said, Thaddeus really is fighting for his life right now. That caution really did take a lot out of his points battle. Looks like he is back on track, though, so hopefully is able to recover a little bit, able to get some of those points back and continue to make a push for that playoff spot.
Yeah, it's something you want to see. He's a new driver. He is pretty talented. He has shown us what he's capable of. He's just been in some unfortunate situations, just like you've seen there with the 09.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what Callahan's able to do. Looks like he's going to choose the bottom side. Actually, the opposite of what Isaiah Fox did. Isaiah chose the high side when he was on old tires. Carden Hansen going to be on top. Lucas Lewis, the first car on new tires, obviously was at the back of the last restart, so maybe just a fuel-only stop for the 11 of Lewis.
You know, that might have been a smart move there from Callahan to take that low line. That 3 car of Hansen hasn't really been in the front here tonight much. He's been in that mid-pack methodically making his way up through. Now in second for the restart here in stage 3. But I feel like Callahan made a smart decision going low. It gave him enough room to run that bottom line, as we've seen him dominantly do here. And maybe if you know, avoid a possibility of Hansen washing up the track with Lucas and the rest of the field around him. We haven't seen Hansen really pull a field much. We've seen him push with the rest of them. So this is going to be a very interesting restart to see what happens and who takes the advantage here. If Callahan holds it, or if Lucas or Mason kind of surpass either of them because of, you know, Hansen getting in the way.
Now, what I will say is I think some of the decision of Callahan going to the bottom side is Hansen's actually the one who washed up and wrecked Callahan in Michigan. So maybe Callahan not wanting to take the chance of Hansen going on that bottom line, washing up and causing issues for the 18 when he's been so strong tonight.
Right. I would just say that's a very wise decision with Callahan already having an experience with that driver within a wreck. You know, you do want to avoid it. Callahan has had a dominant night here so far. We have seen him in the lead. He cycled out a few times, now back in the lead. He has led 56 laps of this race. So we're going to have to see how this restart goes for them both.
As the pace car is going to pull off, David Callahan resumes the lead, is going to shoot off in the restart zone. Hansen in the 3 did not get a good jump, and Callahan's going to be all alone for now. Lucas Lewis around the 3 of Hansen as well. Looks like everyone's going to try and follow suit as the 3 did not get off to a good start. Callahan clear. Lewis clear. Looks like the 3 actually missed turn 1, so he's going to continue to lose positions. You see him all the way on the top side there. They're 3 wide. That included the 9 of Parker. You see him all the way on the bottom now after that. So a little bit of chaos because of the Hansen starting up front. Started second, now sits in 8th, and continuing to bleed positions is the 3 car.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I thought could have been a possibility, and it did come true there. Hansen couldn't hold it with the momentum of leading that pack with the cars behind him. He happened to hit that wall, and now it cost him a lot of positions. Callahan had made that smart move by using that low line, as he is now still in the lead, trying to put time on the cars behind him. Lucas Lewis following behind him. Not too far is Morton, and then you have Mason and Mullins rounding out your top 5.
Yeah, so really quickly, we've seen that Chevy kind of domination that we had, that last restart, really quickly return to that Toyota domination. We've seen a lot of this race with Callahan, Lewis, and Morton. So, I mean, that's how quickly one restart can change the complexion of this race.
Right, and as we saw before, those 3 Toyotas were able to dominate. You got to wonder if Matsko gets up there and it is a 4-car Toyota draft, how efficient that draft pack will be. It is the same exact make, it's the same model. It is known that that draft pulls a little bit better when you are all stacked up. Mason is not going to let that happen, though. He is going to jump in front of Morton now. So now it is 2 Toyotas, a Chevy Toyota, Chevy Toyota. Matsko is trying to make his way back up there, but it's not enough right now.
Yeah, Matsko's one that's kind of been back and forth. I think he definitely has been kind of the iffiest of the Toyotas tonight. Obviously, I think this is his first start in that 20 machine for David Callahan, so his second start in the series. His first was filling in for Callahan at Darlington's. Callahan's going to go around the 11 of Lewis, or at least to the inside of him. Going to try and go around his inside in turn 2. We'll see if he's able to hang on to it. Lewis going to stay on the top side, keep that momentum, get it back around the outside of Callahan. We'll see what happens in turn 3 here to lead lap number 80, 2/3 of the way through the race. We'll see who's able to take it here. Oh, Callahan slides up into the door of the 11. The 88 chooses to push Callahan. The 5 stuck in the middle. An interesting mistake from Callahan we haven't seen too often as Morton now goes for the lead on Lewis.
No, I think we saw Callahan get just a little too aggressive there, as I think that was Lucas that almost went up and made full contact with the wall there. Looks like they're starting to get touchy on these doors now, not wanting to let anybody get much position, as they are 3 wide back there for 4th place right now.
They're 4 wide now. The 5 of Mullen. They're 4 wide, now 2 wide. Mason slides up into the 20 into turn 2. That's the second time we've seen him miss the corner already, as he's going to push the 20 of Matsko all the way back to 7th. Oh, and the caution's going to come out. That was the same group out of turn 2. Looks like it might be not the 98. Looks like
Broadfoot.
The 22 of Broadfoot. Let's see what happens here. Looks like it's out of turn 2. He's on the outside of Thaddeus. Looks like he's going to catch the back of the 20. Hits the wall, bounces down across the nose of the 98. Hits the inside wall with the rear end, and a solo spin for the 22 of Brandon Broadfoot with a little bit of help from the 98 of Thaddeus Friel.
That's unfortunate. Once again, a driver that is fighting for his playoff position is in another wreck. That's really not where Friel needs to be tonight, or where he wants to be tonight. It's just unfortunate. 2 wrecks back to back that he's involved in.
The good thing for him is I don't think Friel did maintain any major damage, so it's not going to be a horrible downside for him. But we'll have to see what he's able to do and just, keep his momentum going.
Yeah, that's the thing right now. It's all about momentum. It's about that draft. You got to hold the line here. You know, unfortunately, Broadfoot got probably a little too antsy there, wanted to make his move, collected on Matsko just a little bit too much in that bumper, got him loose. Thaddeus was just in the wrong place, wrong time. He didn't lose too much. He's still sitting in 8th comfortably, unlike Broadfoot, which is now down in 11th place.
Yeah, so we're going to have to see what happens here. That's our third caution for cause tonight. And all three have been in this third stage. We see everyone dive back down onto pit road again. We'll see if anybody stays out. Looks like so far everybody will remain on the... Isaiah Fox once again is the one to stay out. So Fox, for the second time, was able to make it work the first time around. Got turned by the 88 of Mason, missing turn 2. Is going to have a second attempt at taking the lead here. So Fox on an alternate strategy from everyone else. Everyone, I'm assuming, electing to take fuel.
See, and that benefited Fox for a little bit there in stage 2 when he had that same strategy, but it didn't prevail for him for too long. So you've got to wonder, are we going to see kind of a repeat of what we saw in stage 2 once again here with Fox in that 9 car cycling all the way up to the lead? Because as leaving the box, we have Joshua Mason in 2nd. Mullins is going to pop out. Looks like there's not going to be much change happening. Morton and Callahan still 4th and 5th. Jordan Parker in behind them in 6th. Matsko in 7th. And Friel and Hansen still 8th and 9th.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what happens here. Once again, another shakeup on pit road. So we'll have to see what they're able to do here. Looks like Isaiah Fox, like we said, will take the lead again. Looks like Chevrolet 1-2-3 replacing the Toyota 1-2-3 we saw the last caution.
Yeah, but this might help them a little bit. Unfortunately, Lucas Lewis is all the way in 11th. You have 2 Toyotas sitting 4th and 5th of Mark Morton and David Callahan, and then Chase Matsko in 7th with just Parker in front of him. So we have almost 4 Chevys stacked up in the top 5 and 3 Toyotas following. It might be a resurgence of the Chevy dominance right here, and we might be seeing that with stage 3.
And we'll have to find out tonight, as it looks like we're going to go to the choose cone. Isaiah Fox is going to go back to the top like we saw last time he took the lead. We'll see where the rest of the field ends up. Mason on the bottom. We'll see if Mullen's going to go behind his teammate. The 8 of Morton to the top. Looks like Callahan to the top. Parker to the bottom. Matsko to the bottom. Then it looks like Hansen to the top, Thaddeus to the bottom, and I think Broadfoot back there, and Lewis even further back, maybe repairing some more of that damage that he had earlier.
Yeah, Lucas was in pits for a decent amount of time there, probably trying to get the rest of that damage repaired as much as possible, whether it was cosmetically aero or, you know, just something with the frame. It is a smart move right now to get as much damage off of your car as possible. That means you have to sit less in the pits at a very pivotal point in time. He is not a lap down, so you really can't count him out. He still can make a resurgence like we saw last week and win in the last 2 laps.
And we'll have to see what he's able to do here. I believe we're going to have, looks like about 35 laps to go. So, looks like, I don't think they'll make it on fuel. We know that 1 pit stop is still required. Now, if they have another caution in the next 7 or so laps, I think they might be able to stretch it. But we'll have to see here. They could go green and have a required pit stop. Or they could have a late caution. That means some people get caught out on fuel strategy. As we go for our 5th restart of the night, Isaiah Fox in the lead on the outside. Josh Mason on the inside on newer tires, or what we assume to be newer tires. As the pace car is going to pull onto pit road, the cars are going to go ahead and approach into the restart zone. Fox is going to fire off. The 88 of Mason actually got a better jump than the 09 of Fox. And he's actually going to take the lead heading into turn 1.
Fox and Mason still side by side here. Not either of them giving up on this fight. Fox lost a little bit of time there. Morton's going to be able to catch up. Got to wonder if he's going to slide low in to that little gap he had there.
As we see Morton trying to hunt down the 09 of Fox, trying to get the lead once again. It's been a DCR dominant kind of day, but because of these back-to-back cautions, we've seen the entire order get kind of shaken up. We see Lewis back to 9th. Broadfoot's fallen all the way to 10th after that caution. We see Matsko almost slide up into somebody on his outside. Might have been the 3 of Hansen. The 9 of Parker going to go around him. Already lined up for the most part here. The 09 of Fox trying to go to the inside of Morton. Looks like Morton's going to hold the momentum on the outside. Fox going to have to slide up in front of Mason behind Morton. Callahan still trying to make a run to the bottom. He's going to get the draft off his teammate of Morton. Still not able to do anything to the 2 back-to-back on the top.
Callahan kind of left up high to dry there. Not much draft around him. There's a little bit of a separation at Jordan Parker and back to Christopher Mullins now. Still low is Callahan, but doesn't have much draft to help him out here at the end of stage 3. What do we have? 30, about 27 laps to go now.
Yes, and we did, and we did see the 9 of Parker go around the 88 and the 18 after the 88 hit the wall. It checked both the 18 and the 88 up. Jordan Parker moves into 3rd. Callahan going to try and get that position back, but Jordan Parker right now clear. 88 to the outside. Right rear quarter panel of the 18. 18's going to get clear again, slide up behind the 9, and is going to try to take P3 back from the 9 of Parker.
And you already see that disconnect from Morton and Fox to Parker. Not much time, but they are pretty comfortable there in that low line. That apex in the corner is pretty good. These cars aren't catching up much.
We did see the 3 of Hansen. Yeah, the 3 of Hansen get extremely squiggly in the back there. Looks like he hit the wall out of 2, was able to collect it, but could have been bad there for the 3. As we continue to watch this battle of these cars in front, the 18 of Callahan on the outside of Parker, they're snaking down the front stretch. Almost thought the 9 was going to move up into the 18 there.
Yeah, that wasn't good for a second. I thought the 9 was going to take him out. It looked like he was just following his line, didn't realize that there wasn't enough space for him to clear there, that high line. Now he's left out to dry, not much draft. Got to wonder if he's going to try to make his way in behind Callahan or if he's going to still try to fight that low line.
I think Jordan's not going to go down without a fight. He's going to actually slide Callahan up, put Callahan in the wall a little bit. A little bit of contact there in turn 2. We'll see if they continue to fight here in turn 3. The 88 Mason pushing his teammate in the 9. Callahan sending it around the outside. The 9 still trying to stick it on the inside. I think the only thing that will help Jordan is if Morton chooses to snake down the front stretch. Looks like he's not going to yet. He isn't down the front stretch, but the 88's going to continue to push the 9. It's going to help the 9 get around the 18 of Callahan. They're going to be neck and neck once again into turn 1. Callahan's still stuck on the outside, trying to run the momentum. Parker's still stuck on the bottom. Looks like Callahan's going to have the draft of Isaiah Fox. Parker going to have to finally slide behind the 18 of Callahan.
Yeah, and it was only short-lived there for Parker, trying to make his way up into that at least 3rd or 2nd position. Unfortunately, it's just not a good place to be right now. That low line with no draft around you and also pushing your tires. It's not a good strategy right now to be running when we still have another green flag pit stop to go.
Yeah, as we see the 8 of Morton and the 18 of Callahan working together, we also see the 9 of Parker choosing to push the 09 of Fox to try and get the Toyotas out of the lead. I think Parker's real focus right now isn't as much the lead as it is David Callahan. That's why we see him fighting that 18 so hard. As it looks like the 18's actually going to get loose out of 1. The 9 going to go under the 09 and maybe try and line up a move to the 18 here in a few laps.
Most definitely seems like what exactly Parker is doing. Notice how Parker is holding that low line. He's getting draft in the corner, Brandon Broadfoot hit the wall back there a little bit. That might have shaken up that backpack to fall off a little bit harder. But as you see, Parker is holding that low line all through and through the corners and the straights, knowing that he's going to get a little bit of that draft from Morton and Callahan because of their apex as well.
And you have to wonder now, you're looking within range of the fuel window. I think you could see some people pit early, get that tire advantage for the last 20 or so laps. Or you could see people wait it out, hope for a caution, maybe on pit entry or pit exit, and try and jump the field here on pit strategy. I think that's something you could easily see as the 09 and the 9 once again battling down the backstretch, or one of the back stretches. As the 9's going to dive under the 09 of Fox. Looks like he's going to get that position out of turn 2, and he's going to chase the 2 Toyotas down in front.
And it's a close race right now. Not much time separating everybody. Morton in the lead right now. Callahan only a 10th back from him. Parker is gunning them down as much as he possibly can. Fox is behind them. Mason and Broadfoot are in that pack. Not much of a split up as we've seen through stages 1 and 2. Everybody kind of went single file here pretty quickly and is holding on to that draft as we are practically officially finished with another stage and have the other 30 laps left to go here in stage 3.
As the 9 of Parker actually caught the wall at a turn 1, that's really going to cost him a lot of time to these 2 Toyotas in front. You have to wonder if Parker's trying to push a little too hard. He missed turn 2, actually. He's going to get stuck on the top side. The 09 sliding up, the 88 as well. The 22 of Broadfoot trying to chase down the 9 of Parker. So the 9 of Parker continuing to lose time. Had a poor exit in turn 1 and a poor entry in turn 2, and he lost about 3/10 that last corner. So a big loss for the 9 of Jordan Parker.
Yeah, and you've got to wonder, is this that aggression that we've seen in Parker, you know, in other races where it kind of gets the best of him? He gets a little bit aggressive on that throttle to get as many positions back as possible, but it either A, cost him by a wreck where he negatively impacts himself on that plus minus to Callahan, and it also negatively impacts him just going into that next week. You've got to wonder if this is going to play out for him, especially with as much tires as he's had to burn here so far.
Yeah, that's really just a thing of you have. It's almost one of those things where you have to manage your anger, and I don't think that's something that Parker does really well. He does let it get the best of him a lot, and it does cost him in situations, either with a damaged car or burnt up tires. And this is why sometimes we do see Parker struggle on the long run. Is he gets angry and he gets upset, and it really does cost him in how hard he drives his tires.
Right, and conservative is really the key here, especially when we are only done with one of the two halves of this third stage. We still have 27 laps here to go, excuse me. And it's still anybody's game. We are going to have another pit cycle because they're not going to be able to make it on gas. We're going to possibly see 2 tire strategies pull out. Most likely it's going to be a lot of right side tires because of the wear. Could be a few lefts. We're going to see fours as well. But that pit stop strategy at the end of stage 3 is really what's going to make this race.
Yeah, and I think one thing to worry about more than pit strategy is if Morton is able to get his 4th win of the season, it will make a 3-way tie for the record of most wins in a single season between David Mayu, Mark Morton, and me. So, I mean, I both do and do not want him to get that record, but we'll have to see what he's able to do here tonight. I think Callahan's someone that we also want to see do really well. So we'll have to see what they're able to do here. Parker continuing to be the back of that pack of 3. Everyone else in one big pack from 4th on to about 8th. Looks like 5 or 6 cars right now battling for those positions. Looks like Mason and Fox actually may have gotten into something. Lewis just jumped 2 positions on the backstretch. Let's go ahead and take a look at that battle right now.
Yeah, they were just sitting 3 wide there to gain 6th spot. Lewis was able to manage to pull out of that, and it seems like Isaiah Fox is going to go in with that early pit strategy he had last time and probably get some of that damage for arrow that he just made with those couple of contacts off the wall there.
Well, we did also see Fox stay out a few times, so he may be a little bit off on fuel strategy, and you also have to wonder if that's going to pull any other drivers onto pit road here. There are now, 10 people on the lead lap. I think as of right now, Hansen isn't a major threat, so I think there's still 9 people plus Fox, so 10 that could, have a good shot or a good run at this race. So we'll have to see what they're able to do. But Lewis continuing to try and make up positions. He has the 22 of Broadfoot and the 20 of Chase Matsko in front of him. Then a 3-second gap to Parker, Callahan, and Morton. That's going to take a miracle to get back up to them, or one really well-timed caution. We'll see if either of those happen for Lewis. But right now, we wait for the pit cycle.
Again, something different this stage that we haven't seen so far. Morton has not pulled away on the entire pack like Callahan did in stage 1 and 2. There has been a comfortable gap, and it's starting to be a little bit more sizable now that we are going further into this stage, but it is not as far as Callahan would have had it at this point in time, which would have been roughly about 3.5 seconds difference.
And you also have to take into account Morton really has not had as many laps as you think. Because of all the back-to-back cautions. I think we've only been greened for about 10 or so laps on this set, or on this run. But even still, it's surprising that, Callahan hasn't gone for a major move. We haven't seen Parker fall off yet. I feel like Parker usually, he's a second or two behind Callahan after, this point in the run. So either Parker's found something or Callahan's saving behind Morton right now.
Ryan Callahan being the most dominant driver at this track. He has led 59 laps opposed to Morton's 20 in the lead right now. He is trying to get back there. All of these top 3 drivers have had a point in time where they have led in this race. Callahan winning stage 1, Parker winning stage 2, and now possibly Morton for 3. You've got to wonder if their strategies are going to prevail tonight. All of them have their own tricks and trades that really make them who they are, but they mesh well together on the track when fighting for a win.
And we are seeing Morton actually start to pull away a little bit, and you have to wonder if Callahan, trying to stay ahead of Parker and obviously having all those issues and battles with him, maybe it's burnt his tires a little bit more than he was expecting. Obviously, he's still starting to gain time once again, but we saw him drop all the way to about 6.5 tenths behind the 8 of Morton on the front stretch that last lap.
Right, and tires is really going to be the key factor right now with 22 laps to go in stage 3. Morton, looking at the telemetry, the speeds for all of those top 3 drivers are about consistent. Morton maxing out still at about 173 on these straights right now. He's entering his corners a little bit earlier, but I think that's actually benefiting him here. Callahan isn't able to add much time. Parker isn't able to add much time as well, and they're both in draft right now. So you've got to wonder what the tire difference between this leader and these 2 cars behind him really are.
Yeah, and you then have to go back to the second pack led by Chase Matsko and wonder, they have sat at about 3 seconds difference for the rest of this race, really. So they're running about the same pace as Morton right now. But you have Matsko, and then you have Broadfoot, who've been at the front of this pack for the last few laps. Then you have Lewis, who had to start at the back under the last restart in the Safe Light 11 car. Then you have Josh Mason, who was up there helping Parker early, and we've seen him fall off a little later in all of these runs tonight. Then you have Thaddeus Friel, who's had a few cautions, kind of hurt him really bad. Christian Mullen, who started to fall off, he led a little bit tonight. Then you have Isaiah Fox, who pitted early. He's all the way back in turn 1. I think the leaders are actually back on the front stretch now. David Callahan's taking the lead. It looks like Morton's actually gone onto pit road. A few guys onto pit road. It looks like Morton, Friel, Mullen, Hansen, all to pit. Callahan inherits the lead. Parker stays out with Callahan. Looks like Morton's going to try and pit a little bit sooner. Keep that tire advantage. Try and gain a little bit of time on Callahan by the time that Callahan comes on to pit road.
And you got to wonder how beneficial is that strategy right now from that 8 car. He is a good driver here to possibly take this win. He hasn't been conserving much in stage 3 from what we've seen yet. They haven't had many green flag laps till now. So you've got to wonder, is it really just a 2-tire or a fuel? Is he actually going to be able to make up all of that time back? As we see Broadfoot try to do in stage 2, he was able to do it, but it didn't get him a winning position for that stage. So you've got to wonder where Morton's going to cycle out with the rest of these pit stops.
And honestly, what might work well for Morton now is if there was a caution almost right after he pit, because he was going to come out on the lead lap no matter what because of how long this track is. So, I mean, Morton really is kind of in a position right now where he can afford the caution as long as it's either right now or after everyone else pits. So, I mean, we'll really have to see how this plays for the 8 of Morton. We do see some of these guys fighting in the back. Morton right now in P6. We saw Lewis dive onto pit road. Let's take a look at David Callahan. Callahan's going to pull into pit road. Parker's going to stay outside. Parker's going to inherit the lead once again. Chase Matsko also to pit road. Brandon Broadfoot stays out. Joshua Mason is going to pit. So 2 cars yet to pit so far. It's the 9 of Parker and the 22 of Broadfoot. Everyone else has started or already made their trip to pit road. So we'll see how Morton comes out compared to Callahan. That's really what we care about right now. Let's go ahead and ride along with David Callahan. We're going to go ahead and watch from the cockpit. We're going to see if the 8 of Morton goes around that 18 machine. We see Morton continuing to gain time here. Looks like a two-tire stop for the 18 of Callahan. Morton is going to pass Callahan. Morton's going to be on the right side of your screen. You see him there going into turn 1. He's going to gain a ton of time on the 18 just from another 2 laps that the 18 stayed out.
Yes, yeah, looks like going to benefit him roughly 3 seconds in front of Callahan already.
And as they come out of pit road, the 9 and the 22 are going to give in. They come to pit road now. So everyone has made their stop. Everyone can make it to the end on fuel. We'll have to see how Morton versus Callahan versus Parker ends up. Parker's going to be the big loser right now off the bat. But we'll have to see if he does gain, having, about 3-4 lap fresher tires than the 8 of Morton.
Right now, it's really going to be a deciding factor on how good Morton can hold his line. He really can't save much. He doesn't have draft. Neither does Callahan to an extent. He has Matsko behind him, which is probably still helping him just a little bit. But Morton right now is having to push that car as much as possible until Callahan makes his arrival on his bumper. Notably, Callahan is losing time right now on that gap to Morton. Not much to make a difference, but you are slowly watching it go down on the left-hand side of your screen.
And let's look at the top 4 right now. We saw the Toyotas kind of spread out. We didn't talk a lot about Chase Matsko, and now they find themselves 1, 2, 3, 4. The top 3 all being David Callahan Racing Toyotas, and then the sole Tricon entry tonight with Lucas Lewis. He's got the 9 of Parker behind him. And then the 98 of Thaddeus Friel, the first Ford, finds himself 6th, and then a gap to the 22 of Brandon Broadfoot. We'll have to see if the 11's able to hold off the 9 to keep the Toyota top 4 for the next 16 laps here at Pocono.
Morton's still comfortable. Callahan almost has a whole second off of him now. It's only 2.5 seconds back. Matsko 4 seconds. Lewis is about 2 seconds off of Matsko, so there's not much movement. These top 3 are still pretty spread out. Callahan making the most movement with Matsko as much as they can right now. It's really going to be a deciding factor the further we get into this race. We only have 15 more laps to go. I feel like we're going to start seeing a fight with about 7.
And I think realistically, the biggest fight we're going to have here, like I said earlier, is the 11 and the 9, with the 98 kind of tagging along. The 9 has been super aggressive. We already saw an interaction with the 11 and the 9 earlier tonight. The 9 to the inside of Lucas Lewis. Lewis to the outside. We saw this already once tonight. Lewis is going to remain on the outside, have the momentum. The 9 going to try and side draft, going to slide behind. Maybe going to try again going into 3. Isn't going to have the momentum into 2. So we'll have to continue to watch this fight as they jostle for P4 on the track.
Yeah, there's a lot of movement back there. They are all a little aggressive in their throttles, trying to figure out where is the best time and when is the best time to make the move. Parker trying to make his now on Lewis.
As he doors the 11 of Lewis. Lewis going to side draft the 9. Obviously not happy with that.
Yeah, trying not to give him as much room either there after that mistake, letting him know, hey, man, I'm here, whether that was accidental or not.
And like we said, we've already seen an interaction between these two once or twice tonight. Now a third in turn 3 as they battle for P4 in the final stage.
Parker's still trying to get that low line run to work, but with Matsko behind them, I'm sorry, with Friel behind them, that's really not going to work because Friel's giving Lewis that draft to kind of keep that edge over Parker.
And we do actually see Lewis starting to pull away from Parker a little bit. I think this is when we'll see Parker start to get aggressive. You see him all the way on the rumble strips in turn 3. Looks like he's going to go for a move on Lewis into turn 1. We'll see what Lewis decides to do, if he blocks or just lets him have the inside. Looks like he's going to block low, force the 9 up top. He's going to block up top and force the 9 to wait again to make a move. The 9 going to send it to the outside anyway. Lewis going to block. The 9 going to bump the 11 mid-corner. He's going to push the 11 up, and he's going to have the run on the backstretch. So already a little bit of bumping and shoving between these two with 13 laps to go.
See, and this isn't benefiting them with 13 laps to go. There is and was still enough time for them about 6 laps ago to kind of work together and just stay in that single file line, getting as much draft as possible to make their way up to that top pack. But now they are almost 8.5 seconds, almost 9 full seconds off of Morton, as Callahan has now led off another second off of Morton and is only sitting 1 3/4 seconds off of pace from him.
And you have to wonder if Morton's kind of saving tires so that when Callahan does get to him, he's able to kind of push a little bit harder, because he does have that 2-lap deficit on his tires. As the 9 Parker's going to run into the door of the 11 again, twice in turn 1. Once again, contact between these two.
And you see Parker really not giving him any space there on that straightaway high, so he had a better arc into that corner than Lewis did. It's still not working out in Parker's favor. He's going to have to dive in front of Broadfoot, scrapes the wall, and loses another position off of that. Not many people are helping Parker with that draft tonight in this end of stage 3.
And that, Parker nails the wall hard, is going to slide onto the apron almost. And that's really going to hurt him. Probably some right front damage. Just a little too aggressive. Like we said, it's going to bite him here. Out of 3, Broadfoot to the inside of Lewis. Lewis going to try and hold the position. Maybe not as much of a fist fight, though, as the 9. But the 9 of Parker really biting himself here once again due to his aggression.
Yeah, and 11 laps to go. That's not really where you want it to be, especially at a very pivotal point in the season where you are trying to tick. Oh, we had 2 cars on the wall there. Broadfoot and Friel both connected. But it's not where you want to be there when you have a sizable gap on Callahan, which is sitting in second place. Parker is going to lose those 3 positions now, which puts him in a 5 spot difference over Callahan. If that is his finishing order, that's going to cost him to practically net loss tonight of like -1. So he really didn't gain anything from this race, and that's not really what he needs to have.
And even if Parker had finished in about P5 and had settled for 5th, it would still be a gain of 3. Like we said, still not what he needed, but it would have been a more positive direction than +1.
Yeah, it's just a very tough spot, and now he's trying to hold that line. Obviously, he's burnt his tires being that aggressive. He has Mullen and Mason behind him not too far, and only the draft of Thaddeus right now to keep him going until they catch up. We obviously know that Mullins is going to fight his own teammate at some point in time. He's done it before. He's not just going to give him the way. So it is going to be a little bit difficult for Parker to hold those positions to not lose any more than what he's already lost here.
Yeah, and Parker doesn't even bother to block his own teammate, as Mullen is the faster car right now. So not surprising to see that, as actually it looks like the 88 may have almost made contact with the 9 in turn 1. They're going to single file out once again on the backstretch. We're going to continue to watch this battle for a little bit. The 9 may be looking for a move back on the 5 here into turn 2. Looks like he's going to reconsider, maybe wait for turn 3. Josh Mason going to get a run here out of 2, it looks like.
Yeah, and all of this fighting that this second pack has done has cost them a lot of time.
The 9, the 88, the 98, all on the wall out of 3 because they were all trying to push by each other. The 9's going to slide up in front of the 88, get wiggly off the front bumper. Once again, the 88 going to give another shove to the 9. I don't know if that was a teammate shove or an unhappy shove, and the 9 really damaged now. Can't turn in turn 1. The 88 flies by him. The 98 looks faster as well in the corner. So once again, just overstepping the line was Parker. He had little to no pressure there from the 88 yet. Out of turn 3, looks like he's going to have to throw the car into 2 to get it to turn in.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was talking about. What him not wanting to do is overdrive that car to the point where now you're losing more positions to that 18 car. I don't feel like this is really where he wanted to be. Obviously, this isn't what he envisioned going into this race, but it is not a positive outcome at this point in time with 7 laps to go. There's nothing else he can do other than just hold it where he's at and not lose any more positions.
This Thaddeus Friel in the 98 is going to pull back on the pit road, likely because of that damage with the wall. As Lucas Lewis continues to lose time to the 22 of Broadfoot, we're going to go ahead and look at David Callahan, who's been gaining on the 8 of Mark Morton. We don't know if it's enough to get there yet. 7 laps to go. He's 1.7 back. He was down to 1.4 at one point. I think that Morton was saving his tire, allowing Callahan to catch up, and then he's just been managing the gap since he got to about 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, and it's really been trying times for that 18 and that 20. With 15 laps to go, they were roughly almost 3.5 to 4 seconds off of pace of Morton. Matsko is now been able to make it within 1 second of Callahan, so they are almost back in draft here, which can really be a deciding factor. And this is kind of what I said. By lap 7, you're possibly going to start to see that fight for the lead. And with Matsko behind Callahan now, that might push that advantage for them to get up if their tires are still able to really burn in the corners.
I mean, even still, if this top 3 doesn't change, it is still a 1, 2, 3 for for David Callahan Racing. I believe this would be the first time that they've done that. So it would be a big feat for the team, although David may be the one wanting to win. It still would be good for his trophy case.
Absolutely. You never want to not win a race. That's always your goal going into the race. But still, as a team owner, to be able to say, hey, we got a 1, 2, 3 finish. We still brought that win home. We put the banner up on the wall. You know, you still have to pat yourself on the back for still having a successful run with the team at the end of the race with 5 laps to go.
Yeah, as we see Matsko maybe closing on Callahan a little bit. We see Callahan continuing to lose time to Morton, maybe pushed a little bit too much to get back to the 8 car. We thought he'd, be a little bit better on this longer run with the 3 lap fresher tires. It really hasn't proven to be the advantage that we thought. And we think that Morton may have been saving a little bit to allow him to manage this gap. So David Callahan not able to make the time. 4 laps to go here in Pocono. And Morton continues to lead.
Yeah, Callahan losing tremendous time, but not as much time as that pack from Broadfoot back has. They are now roughly 9 seconds back. 14 seconds back from Lewis is Mason. And then, well, I'm sorry, about 6 seconds back is Lewis to Mason. And there's a sizable gap from Mullins to Parker now. So I would really say that second pack is kind of solidified in position, other than Broadfoot and Lewis, that really can flip-flop here to take 5th out, 4th and 5th place difference. But right now it's really just the 1, 2, 3 that's almost solidified, as Matsko is kind of honing in on Callahan, not too aggressively with 3 laps to go now, but he is approaching that rear bumper and kind of giving him a little bit more of an edge. So I've got to wonder if Matsko is going to try to make a move here to pass Callahan, or if his tires are just too bare to do that.
I would be surprised if he did. I mean, I can understand wanting to pass your team owner, but when he's in the point situation that Callahan is, if he has a bad race, say in Montreal or Daytona, and Parker goes out and wins both stages and the race, like, that could be a really big points loss for the 18 of Callahan. So I think he needs to get this position while he can. And while this is going on, there's also the battle for a P4 right now to make it a Toyota 1, 2, 3, 4. Lewis trying to hunt down that 22 of Broadfoot. He's been right behind him for a few laps now. So Lewis trying to make all the Toyotas finish in a row here up front tonight.
And Morton is taking that another lap to give us 2 laps more to go. As we've stated, Callahan and Matsko not really adding much time. They are about bumper to bumper. At this point, I feel like Matsko would have passed. He has had that run and an advantage at multiple times, as we've seen. So I feel like it's going to be a Callahan 2 finish tonight. Matsko sitting in 3. So it still works out in their favor. But Morton is going to take that win. It should have been 4 in a row for him after that loss last week to Lewis. But he seems like he's going to be able to reclaim victory lane here tonight.
Yeah, and as this goes on, we are still watching the battle for 4th right now. Lucas Lewis to the inside of Brandon Broadfoot as Morton takes the white flag. I think we'll have to circle back to this battle later on, as Morton once again leads into turn 1. Maybe wasn't the most dominant car for the first half of this race, but has been the car to beat ever since we took the green flag for stage 3. Beats his team owner of David Callahan, leads the Toyota 1, 2, 3 for right now, all of which are his teammates in David Callahan Racing, as he goes into turn 2, takes the 8 McLaren Grills Toyota Camry into turn 3, or sorry, Mahindra Tractors, not even the same company, into turn 3. He's going to continue the dominance. 4 wins on the season for Mark Morton, as he's going to lead his teammates Brandon Broadfoot, then Lucas Lewis, then Josh Mason, then Christian Mullen, Isaiah Fox in 8th, Jordan Parker 9th, and Thaddeus Friel 1 lap down in 10th. Lucas Lewis isn't going to complete the 1, 2, 3, 4 for Toyota, is going to leave 4th to Brandon Broadfoot. So David Callahan Racing scores their first ever 1, 2, 3 finish with Mark Morton, a familiar face, up front. Both of his teammates coming up to congratulate him here on the backstretch here as the sun begins to set. The 18 and the 20 of Callahan and Matsko.
And the 11's going to join him as well.
All the Toyota teammates are really good at working together, so not surprised to see the Tricon Garage entry go congratulate the David Callahan Racing entry, especially after last week.
Now, just what a dominant race from David Callahan Racing, a team in whole Mark Morton led 38 laps. Callahan led 61. That is a total of 99 laps completed and dominated by that team tonight.
Yeah, that's an impressive stat. That's something you don't see a lot. I mean, that's Parker Motorsports Daytona cutoff race levels of domination there. For anybody who used to watch back in season 1, I think we led like 75 of the 80 laps or so, as Mark Morton burns it down here at Pocono.
Oh, he gonna burn that thing down till the wheels fall off.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go ahead and agree with you. I would be dizzy by now.
Hey, it's the same thing we saw him do at Michigan.
True. Yeah, he loves going in circles, even when he's done going in circles.
But that makes it official. We now have a 3-way tie.
I don't like this tie.
4 times. 4-time race winner in a single season.
All right, let's go ahead and begin to talk to our top 3 finishers. We're going to go and start with third place of Chase Matsko. Let's go ahead and grab Chase.
Pancake!
Chase, this is Owen and Tyler in the booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
So obviously, I think this is your first race in the 20 for David. Found yourself P3. How do you kind of reflect on that race? And, is there anything you kind of wish you did differently?
Not really. I mean, I was just trying to stay back and let it all unfold in front of me. And that last stint, we all took 2 tires, and it just worked out that all 3 of us were up 1, 2, 3. I mean, couldn't ask for much better than that.
Now, do you feel like tonight, we saw you start off in the back, kind of make your way back up to the front. You held out top 5 for a decent amount of time. Do you feel like, you could have fixed strategy in stage 2 to kind of get you a better position to end that stage going into 3? I mean, you still had a very good finish on the long run. Do you feel like you could have ironed out your short run just a wee bit more?
Yeah, I tried saving fuel in the second stage and make it the whole way through. And I think it would have been smarter to do what David did and pit a couple laps left and just do it so you're in a better position, because I had to back off real hard at the end of it, and I lost a lot of time.
I mean, obviously, we did see you were one of those comers and goers. I don't think you ever found yourself in a consistent position, but you did. I mean, that pit strategy did benefit you greatly. You went from kind of being, someone we weren't talking about as much in that final run to, just finding yourself in a really good position. How do you kind of view that in the grand scheme of things?
I think I was just following what Mark and David were saying, and just took 2. I think the biggest difference was taking the 2 tires, because the car felt just as good on 2 tires and did on 4, and saved you 4 or 5 seconds in the pit lane, and that was definitely the difference to get around the rest of the pack.
Now, with it being a dominant night for you guys at David Callahan Racing, I believe I did a rough total. I forgot to add Lucas Lewis. You guys have ran a total of 101 laps with 4 races left in the regular season. Do you guys feel like you are pretty dominant going into the playoffs, whether all are locked in or not?
I think Mark and David definitely have a good shot at it. I mean, this is only my first race running it, so obviously I'm not in it unless I win. But I think those 2 definitely have a good shot of getting good finishes into points and probably winning it.
All right. Well, I think that is going to be all from us tonight for you, Chase. Congratulations on P3, and we will catch you later.
All right, sounds good. Have a good night, guys.
You too. All right. That was third place finisher of Chase Matsko. Now we're going to talk to the team owner, David Callahan.
Hey.
So obviously you found yourself in P2, one spot shorter of where you probably think you should have been tonight. How do you kind of approach the end of that race?
I mean, it was exactly how we practiced and planned. Me and Mark we worked really hard throughout the week to figure out a good strategy and find some speed, find some long run speed, short run speed. And I mean, me getting the pole, leading the most laps, both of us having a pretty clean race. I think our strategy worked to perfection. So, and then a 1-2-3 finish for this team is insane, especially from 2 weeks ago, and even last week. You know, this is kind of deserving for this team.
Now, do you feel like your dominance has been back? I know me and you had that talk where you were like, I don't know why you keep saying I'm not dominant. And I was like, man, it's been your overall on the track. You know, you came out running and gunning tonight. You had led 61 laps, the most out of the team, the entire field. You know, do you feel like this was kind of what you needed with the 4 weeks left before the playoffs?
100%. Trying to lock down this regular season championship is big. You know, especially having the extra 3 bonus points that I got tonight really goes a long way. But then I got to hand it to Mark, not only for the win, but for the dedication and practice all week. Because I mean, we probably ran 150 laps at this track, really just trying to nail strategy and putting in a lot of time and effort. And it really showed tonight, as y'all seen. So, but yeah, I think the consistency is going to come back. Maybe not next week, but definitely showed this week.
I mean, obviously, it's our first road course of the season next week. How much preparation have you and the other guys at David Callahan Racing put into Montreal?
Yeah, so without revealing too much, we've put in some time. I'm pretty confident about my team's chances. I mean, you got the driver, the 8 behind the wheel. You're pretty confident every week. But yeah, I'm pretty confident with me and my team's chances of repeating what we did this week. So we'll see what happens when we go there and see what happens throughout the week.
No, I do just want to ask one more question with everything kind of situated. Now, you know, we are officially finished with Pocono, so that adds only 3 weeks left. That road course is going to be a little bit of a shakeup. But do you kind of feel like at this point in time, you're already locked into the playoffs? You are fighting Parker for that regular season championship. Do you kind of feel like with stage 2 not cycling out correctly for you, that kind of could have made a little bit of a difference on the possibility of the difference on points between you and Parker? Do you feel like you are 100% comfortable going into the 3 remaining weeks?
I'm pretty comfortable. With stage 2, I could have finished the stage and won the stage, but I would have had less than a lap of fuel, and you know, you have to take 1 extra lap to catch the pace car and then maybe a half lap to pit. So I was going back and forth with myself of, do I win the stage and ruin the rest of my race and get pushed, or do I just pit and then start first, stage 3? So I took the safer option. But yeah, it came down to that moment, and it kind of panned out how I planned it. I mean, I had a big enough lead. I probably should have saved, but I did not want to take a chance with my points position and my track position at the time. So I think I did the safer option, which turned out pretty well.
All right. Well, I think that's going to be all for us tonight, David. Congratulations on P2, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, fellas. Y'all take it easy.
You too.
You too.
All right. That was second place finisher of David Callahan. Now we're going to talk to Mark Morton for the 4th time this season. Mark, this is Owen and Tyler in the booth. You got us?
Yes, sir. I got you.
So your fourth win of the season, you're making the rest of us look bad. I mean, you've kind of shown that you can win on almost any oval this season, other than, I mean, have you won on a short track?
No, I wasn't here for a short track yet.
Okay. So obviously, I think the short track and a road course is the only thing you haven't won on. So looking forward to next week at Montreal, how do you approach that?
A lot of practice and some more practice throughout the week. I don't want to toot my horn, but I feel pretty confident with Montreal. Looking forward to it, ready for it. The setup that Jordan has for it, feels really good. Just gotta make sure I don't spin out on the hairpin or any of the gears, any of the corners where you shift down the first gear.
So where you are at now, Mr. Crazy Train, you are a 4-time winner, tied third for all time in a single season. You had a win stripped from you a little bit late in last week's race at Indianapolis. I kind of mean, you had talks after you said that, you know, this could be your race and you really wanted it to make your race to get that fourth for the season. Are you going to try to break that 5 within the next week? I mean, we have Montreal, Kentucky, and then Daytona, which is anybody's race. Do you feel like, you know, you are on pace to possibly break this record in totality in the next 3 weeks?
I feel like hopefully I'm on pace to where Owen will see that 4 get further and further away from my win total to where he'll possibly want to jump in on track and have him and I duke it out. That's my goal. That's my goal, to get as many wins as I can to where it irks Owen, to where he doesn't see where 4 is no longer the top number.
Yeah, well, the problem is I can't come back. I'm a little busy now. I can't defend it anymore. It's not fair.
Well, I don't know what to tell you there, boss.
All right.
I'll tell you what. So for next week, I'll have a paint scheme dedicated to you to say, Owen, this is for you, and then 4 it'd be crossed out or something. We'll think of something for you.
Please no.
I got you. I came up with something good at India. I'll figure something
All right,
out.
there we
for
go.
you.
Oh God.
But I did want to touch up on stage 2 for you. You started off stage 1 and 2 in the back. I'm assuming you took a EOL like you were planning on with Indy for the start. Obviously that end of line really helped you get up to second place in stage 2. Do you feel like there was anything different you kind of could have done to solidify that win over David for stage 2 and 3? Or are you pretty comfortable with where and how you finished in stage 2?
Well, for stage 2, I didn't think we were going to make it on fuel because I went down to get more fuel because when you go down after the caution, like we were like a lap, it was going to be close. I just want to make sure I had an extra lap to go around because normally we have to at the end of the first stage you had to go all the way around to catch the pace car. I guess when the caution flew for the second stage, it kind of timed up perfectly where the pace car was able to come out before and instead of going around another lap. That's kind of why I started back in the back.
That's completely understandable.
All right. Well, once again, congratulations on your 4th win of the season, and we will see you next week in Montreal.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for taking time out of your evening and to broadcasting with us. Well, broadcasting the race for us.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming week in, week out to try to break records for us here, Mr. Crazy Train. Your official 3-way tie for 4 times on a single season for a win.
Yep. No problem. Again, thank you. It really, realistically, if it worked out how it would have been, it would be 6. But you know, you win some, you lose some, and I just take what I can get.
All right, and that was your race winner of Mark Morton for David Callahan Racing. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the results one last time tonight. Mark Morton is going to finish first. David Callahan second. Chase Matsko third, rounding out the David Callahan Racing 1, 2, 3. Brandon Broadfoot finishes P4, Lucas Lewis P5, Joshua Mason 6th, Christian Mullen 7th, Isaiah Fox 8th, Jordan Parker finishes 9th, Thaddeus Friel finishes 10th, Carden Hansen 11th, Max Wiesner in 12th, Brennan Carroll in 13th, and Joey Beam 120 laps down, DNS in 14th. A crazy race here tonight, Tyler, and I really don't know how else to really explain that, so I guess without much hesitation, we'll see y'all next week at Montreal. Any closing remarks, Tyler?
I feel like we had a really good race here tonight for 2.5 mile tracks back to back. I know a lot of drivers really didn't anticipate it. They didn't really feel comfortable going in with 2.5 mile tracks back to back. But I would say overall, we saw some really good racing from this group tonight, especially from your top three. Matsko was really off radar majority of the night, was able to make his way into that top 5 finishing position. Morton, of course, making history, tying for third for the 4th win of the season. Going for 5 now, should have been 6 like he says, but I just feel like going into Montreal next week, it's going to be a big shakeup. It's not what we're used to, and it's not what the fans are going to be used to going to Montreal for the Napa Auto Parts 200. So I feel like next week is really going to be a deciding factor for those who are on track leading up to the round of 16 at Chicagoland for the Windy City 250, starting our playoffs in November.
And without further ado, a little preview into those playoffs as we sign off for tonight.